Good morning. Are we good now? Much better. I hope they don't switch me off again. Hey. Okay, I just need to share with some that might try to join later. Welcome again. Welcome again to our Pyjama Talks, Blended Family Pyjama Talks. So we are here again today talking about blended families in South Africa and worldwide. And then today's topic is basically on the legacy. What legacy are we leaving behind? So I did start a live, and then we got something, we had technical issues, so sorry about that. But the reason why this topic became so important to me to a point that I bring it up to this platform was triggered by last week's conversation. And that conversation reminded me of conversations that I've had a number of times with different people around how a lot of times, and I'll talk about something that we've seen, we see these families that are doing well when you're growing up, and next thing the parents die or the breadwinner dies and the business dies with them. We've seen this happen. We've seen in a lot of families where you have the parents become successful, and then after the parents pass on, even in their careers, but after they pass on, everything falls apart. You've even heard statements like, my father was rich, or my mother was rich, or we were once rich. And that comment always used to bother me, because I'm like, what happened? What happened? What took place in that family that from being so successful, everything was lost? And you find yourself as a child that grew up just in a normal family having more success, and it doesn't make sense. And the answer I got to that, people have a lot of creative answers to this statement that I've just made. What happened? And I don't even want to delve into the others. But the answer that I got when I started questioning, why is this the case? Because yes, we've also managed to have a little bit of success ourselves. And you sit there and you question, how do I not become like that family? How do we continue the legacy of growth in our families? And that's, a question I've been asking myself, conversations I've been having with friends and family. And the answer that I got down to is that we don't pass on the legacy. I even look at myself today and I'm like, does my child know what I do? They know where I work. They know my job title. But have I, even just those simple conversations about what you do, starting those little conversations, if you're an accountant, to start talking about money with your kids. And not about money, just like saving money and what, but like money using accounting terminology. If you're a therapist, to start having conversations with your kids about therapy, so that by the time they even decide, I want to be just like my mom or just like my dad, I want to be a psychologist, I want to be a doctor, I want to be an accountant, they already have an upper hand. But most times our children are starting from scratch because we don't let them into our world and what we do. Where I've seen success is where you grow up seeing. And I'll make an example with what we physically see. I mean, we all grew up in townships or places where there was this one particular family that owned a store, that owned a butchery, that owned something in the area, taxis, what you name it, or they have cows, or they've got goats and they're trading. And where you see those kids every day after school going to the butchery, going to the farm, going to the store, and actually sitting and working in the store, that's where you see success. But another thing that brings in the success is teaching your children about unity, being clear about where you're going as a family. Because another thing that's broken these families apart and the success of the family is that once the matriarch or the leading male passes on, the children do not know how to get along. And I say children, but some of them are literally adult children. They aren't able to get along. And whatever it is that has been built will fall down to the ground and be destroyed. So I'm not going to talk long. If you would like to give me your insights on what is it that you are doing to ensure that the legacy gets passed on in your family, please request. Rakadi, if you are free, I know in your mornings you have moments where you're still very busy. So if you are free, I would love for you to come up and just give us your insights on the topic and what you've done in your space, in your coaching space as well, to just ensure that the legacy gets passed on. Good morning, Kananelo. How are you? How are you? This is something that has just like been something that I decided to intentionally do and look into. It's not easy because kids are kids. Kids will do what they want to do and think the way they think. But it's still those small little steps that you make. The topic for today is, what legacy are we passing on to our children? Where have we gone wrong, or where have our predecessors, our ancestors gone wrong in terms of passing on the legacy? This topic was triggered by last week's conversation that we had, where one of our panel members brought up the fact that he wanted to, as much as he's in a blended family, but he ensured that he lived with all his children so that he can teach them the tricks of his trade, so that the tricks of his trade do not go with him, so that the legacy of the family continues. Yes, we go through so much as families, and sometimes we focus on issues that are meant to be non-issues. We focus on small things that make us fight and argue. And when you look at the bigger picture, you're like, what are people fighting about? Why don't people fight together? Why don't we fight for what we have together? And you know what surprises me is that oftentimes when that person who brought the family to wealth or success passes on, the people that are left behind do not know how to continue in a unified manner. It's either the unity that's not there or the knowledge that is not passed on to the children. Ubuntu, iskolo, nokuzimela. That is true. That is true. That is true. And Sunflower, I just wanted to, is it Sun? Sun and her flowers. I always call you Sunflower. But you know, to add on to this question is, how do we make sure that the knowledge that we have gained is passed on to our children. I think before you came in, I was even making a comparison, Yoguti. If you're an accountant, are you teaching or giving your child any accounting knowledge or skills? If you are a teacher, are you passing on your teaching skills to your children? So that should they want to follow your footsteps, would they be able to have an upper hand on other children in the classroom? Because already, if my mother is an accountant, if my mother is a lawyer, I should already be getting in there understanding case law, because when my mom has a case, she can discuss, even if it's not the nitty-gritties of the detail of the case, but how do you approach a case like this? We don't pass on that knowledge. Last week when Silegu was speaking, I made an example of Gold Diggers. It's a mining show I used to watch long ago. Good morning, KK. And I mentioned how this young gentleman, grandfather, so he grew up with his grandfather who was a miner. So they were like, what do they call them here in South Africa? But they're like pop-up miners. So they find out that there's an ore body somewhere. They quickly dig it up. It's not even like it's not big open pit mines. They dig it up. They open up this mine. They literally take out what they want and they go. The young gentleman learned that skill from his grandfather because he was there. And his grandfather used to tell him, this is how the rock looks like. This is what happens. If this is happening, this is what it means. This is what you have to do. When the grandfather passed on, this young gentleman continued and was able to survive doing the exact same business that he was taught. So the question I pass on to you, if you are in business, is your child exposed to your business? Do they understand? What is your approach in ensuring that everybody knows their role on what they might need to do to take over the business? So no one wants to come up today. And then when it comes to 8:30, everybody wants to join. And the next thing I have to go, and it seems like I'm just leaving. No one wants to come up today. I see. Good morning, Rahadi.
Good morning. Good morning.
How are you?
I'm doing well, thank you. How are you?
I'm doing very well.
I can see that it's a cold Saturday. I was waiting and ready for you at 5 o'clock, and I'm like, no, I think it's gonna be 6 o'clock. And then I'm like, okay, is she not coming on at 6 o'clock? Now I see you chose 7, which is great because now we are all up. We're ready for you. Um,
Rahadi, did you mute yourself?
Oh, sorry, I just got a call.
Oh.
I let me add to your topic because I can see that it's a tricky one, very challenging, but quite frankly, I think we have different ways of passing on the legacy, and mostly I would encourage people to do that through exposing their kids, like you were saying, but making sure that those values that they want to, impart on their children, they can actually do that. For example, if like me, I'm in the coaching business and I can call it the teaching business. One of the things that I do, even when I help my son do his homework, I also give him a chance to also teach me what was being taught in class. That way, if he wants to be a teacher, he can be a teacher because he understands the concepts. It will build his confidence, and he will understand, he will take it as second nature to him. And I also understand that when you are running a business, you need to be in a position where your child gets exposed to what you are doing, and how you are doing it. Because if you look at most businesses that we know or grew up around, as much as those children were around their parents, they could observe what is being done, but they didn't learn how it's done. And that's why when their parents are gone, the businesses are gone. And I've recently learned that the beauty about showing the child how things are done is even, showing them how the spreadsheets are done, how you think long term, and also making them understand why you are doing what you're doing. Sometimes we look at our parents having businesses or being teachers or whatever, but we never
Yes.
get to know why they're doing it. So now, if I show my son that the work that I'm doing is to help people regulate their emotions, know when they're angry, find different outlets, be kind to others, they understand how I'm doing it because of the techniques that I'm teaching. And those techniques is what we do in the morning, what we do in the evening, how we watch each other's speech, how he can listen to me on a conversation on the phone. After that, he can come to me and say, but you sounded really angry. But when you said this like this, I thought you were mean. Why did you say it in this particular way? And as much as he's listening and he's young, now at least he's able to observe, my body language. He's able to observe uh, even my tone when I speak. Because I also want him to understand how to treat himself and how to have boundaries and how to be kind to others, but also how to stop others that are not being kind to him, especially
Yeah.
when we're teaching him how to identify bullies, how to speak to bullies, and then how to speak up about bullies, even at school. And those little things that you do as action points that you are doing with them. And then of course, when even if it's about your health, for example, my son doesn't like meat, but now he knows what type of foods are actually building up in terms of protein, because when he learns about what is a beautiful plate, a colorful plate, he learns that protein is from meat. But at home, we don't eat protein from meat. But if we go into a business that sells herbal products, for example, then I have to say, why are we doing what we're doing? That way he understands the reason behind it. Now it will be easy to leave that legacy. You also spoke about when we don't teach our children, things perish. But most of the time, we also don't teach our partners observe us. They understand what we're saying, but they don't know what we're doing. And that's why sometimes if your husband or your wife is running a business, you don't understand the books, you don't understand the investors, you don't understand who are the partners, you don't understand the strategy, the vision, where are we going. So when that person dies, you can't take it over, you can't maintain it. But I've seen people let beautiful companies that were making money die with their spouses, and you're thinking, but this was so easy just to maintain, and just do the management of things and allow specialists to come and deliver service through you, and you pay them well and they represent you well, and you make sure that you continue with the same partners that are there relying on your service. But if you don't know what to do as a spouse, the unfortunate thing is that business dies. And now you also killing the whole legacy thing, especially if we don't do things together. I think most financial freedom workshops that I go to, they try to encourage that we do things together, even at dinner when you debriefing and talking about your work. I mean, I do that with my son. I know part of it, he doesn't understand a lot of it, but it's for him to also know how to express himself, especially over dinner. We also, teaching them not to dump on the other person, but to also be kind enough to understand that everybody could have had a heavy day. This person has got my back, but then how do we talk about work? How do we talk about school? How do we talk about things that happened in the playgrounds? How do we envision the do-overs? And now, if you're with your partner and you understand that they're a banker, but you don't understand why they are in banking. What is it that they're doing? Especially between us black couples, where we don't talk about money, where sometimes I ask couples, so do you budget together? No, he takes care of the house. He takes care of whatever. I take care of the groceries. I take care of the extramural activities. And do you invest together? No. Do you do anything together? No. So do you understand that it's the partnership that is needed? It is the teaching that is also needed to the partner and to the kids. It is also making sure that everybody understands why we're doing what we're doing. If the why is clear, then voila, we are able to leave it to the next generation. I think you muted yourself. I can't hear you.
Shem, you're just pausing because you see my lips move. How polite. Welcome, guys. Welcome to those who just joined on the live. Reynald has a question based on what you were saying, and I think it'll help just to maybe drive the conversation so that at least we don't go back too far. Reynald, you can come in with your question.
Good morning, family. How are you?
How are you?
I'm
Good,
good.
Reno. How are
I'm
you?
good.
Nice to hear your voice today. You've been on the chats for a while. Welcome to the panel.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate it a lot.
It's a pleasure.
Okay, based on what Hardy said, when it comes to businesses and ways of making money, I want to know, is it the rightful way to, okay, as a parent, let's say you are a parent and you have a meeting with your husband or your woman. Then you call your child and you tell your child it is a right for you to implement tax to your children because you have raised them. And when the child runs a business, you say whatever money that he gets, your child must give you the money that they make in their businesses, even though your child has plans, his or her plans are not that important, but the plans of you as a parent are the ones that are important. How do we solve that? And yet your child also live with disability. You take his disability and saying that it is a right for you to, it's a right for the child to do impact tests to you as a parent because you have raised the child. How do we solve that?
Sure, Reynold. That black tax situation, it's a tough one because I think families are not the same, and how it is approached in different families as well. It's just it differs from family to family. So there are people who will say, you know what, because and I'm capable, I don't mind. But then there are instances where you have to take care of your things first. And then once you are okay, then you can take care of your family. But also, this black text one it's a bit complex because even with parents that are doing well, and there are situations where the parents do still have jobs, but because perhaps you became a little bit more successful than they are, they still have an expectation. And I think it's also a legacy that has been passed on from, I think, generation to generation, that you take care of us, we took care of you, so now when we are older, you take care of us. But most times it feels forced. I'd like to bring Rahadi because the question was directed to you.
Thanks, Amma. I think it's a relevant question, and that's what we're dealing with a lot. And I can see that it's not going away from one generation to the other. It's like Goodness Lord, I think our parents tried, but it looks like we're still doing the same thing. So maybe my approach would be the following, Reynald. The angle you can approach from could also be like, let's call you a teacher. So now, as much as you're a child, you are being called to bring in the money into the family. But it sounds like it's more of a demand. It's not working together. It's not bringing hands together and trying to figure things out. So say you are living at home and you must contribute to the home. So contributing to the home is something that can be clarified. Now that we are doing this together, you are also working. Perhaps can you contribute to groceries? Can you contribute by buying electricity? But if you have to bring all your money in while you are running a business, it is also up to you to have that boundary to be able to explain how you are managing your finances, how you want to grow your business, what the money needs are, how much are you paying yourself from the business, which is what you will be able to share with the family, but not give it all that you get to neglect yourself in the process. So it is purely, I guess, on one hand, your responsibility to also communicate as a child that, yes, the family business is bigger, my business is smaller, or there is no family business, but I have a business and you guys are employed. And so I will contribute, because then that will kill your business, that will kill your idea, everything that you're trying to initiate, because you would not have enough money to reinvest in your business and to be able to grow your business. It doesn't matter what kind of business it is, you need to reinvest in it. It doesn't matter what you do every day, you need to reinvest in yourself as an individual. And if what you make is enough to also share with the family, fantastic. What you pay yourself from the company is what you can also share with the family. But don't take all the money that should be reinvested into the business, that should help you pay your suppliers, that should help you, even if you've got debt, settle your debt, and then with your salary, get to manage yourself, help yourself, and then contribute to the household. And I guess that's the way that it will help, that you are also communicating and teaching that I want this small business to be a big business and I want to upscale. And so sometimes when we bring people into our businesses for them to help, we do pay them, but that's part of you upscaling to a point that it actually becomes a business, not an opportunity for you to create a job for yourself. That way it will be able to live longer for their grandchildren, even for them when they are elderly, that it will be able to give them something and help sustain their lives. But if you can't reinvest in the business and you guys are taking everything out of that, I guess that's where the challenge is. Perhaps sometimes people demand because they don't know. So maybe your responsibility is to educate. I want to build Lerato Inspires as an empire that teaches, good relationships, personal development. And this is the mission around it. It makes 5,000 rands a month. I only take 500 rands because that 10% of what my business has done, 10% then can come as my salary. From the 500 rands, this is what we can do. I will contribute 250. I'll be left with 250 if that can sustain me. Otherwise, I'll give you 50 rands from the 500 rands, because the 400, it has to go to groceries. This has to go to whatever. And then the rest of the 4.5 is paying my graphic designer, my website, the internet, whatever that I need to sustain my business with. And maybe petrol money to be able to take me around, to be able to make phone calls. So the 5,000 has to reinvest back in the business to keep the business afloat. But if I take the whole 5,000 and then I use it, unfortunately, I will have nothing to run the business with next month. But sometimes if we are not that transparent, we are not able to grow. Then other people actually have these demands because they're actually thinking we're doing so well. Because imagination is also another thing that kills us. They're thinking you're doing so well. I have a 10-year-old. With a 10-year-old, we sit every month we say, mommy will only bring this month, this much this month. 10% of that, it's what we, rai boxa. And from Hui boxa, it means the game whatever that he wants should come from our 10%. And if it's not enough for us and going out and doing all these other activities that we like doing, then there are certain things that we have to sacrifice for that month. But we can't box everything that comes in and then, having it for a jolt. So it's a moment of teaching while you are also learning, and then reinvest in your business. That also helps you have a boundary. I guess maybe that's one of the safest way to do it, especially if you're living with the members of the family. Reynald, did that give you an idea on how to approach it?
Yes, thank you very much. It gave me an idea, and I really appreciate it a lot. Okay, another follow-up question that I have, man.
Reynolds, before you go to the follow-up question, I just want to check with you. So is the business a separate business to your parents, to the parents' business? Or is the business, are you now the one that's continuing with the business that was started by your family?
No, it's my business. It was started by me. I'm an IT technician. I fix computers, laptops, cell phone, everything that includes gadget, and I build website development, doing graphic designers, and I'm interested to start a training whereby I can train my other brothers and sisters who live with disabilities to be able to fix technological gadget and not end there but assist them to apply for jobs or start their own businesses. That is my idea. That is what I'm interested in doing. Oh, that is what I'm doing. But in training them, I haven't reached that step because I'm still trying to build my business.
I hear you. I think, Rahadi, you even answered questions that I had. So thanks, Reynald, for that question that you asked around the black tax, because you've actually addressed an issue that I have with my child, Rahadi, where I'm like, this child thinks I have money. This child thinks I have money and I don't. And I'm like, how? I tell her, child, this is what I have. But that strategy of, saying this money is actually for this is for that. And you've even mentioned it that you've done that even with your stepchild before. And I just wanted to highlight that. I don't know whether there are people who have struggled with that as well, where your child thinks because you just keep on doing when they need you do, and they don't know what goes behind the scenes of you actually getting to the point of doing. Sometimes that doing comes with a little bit of sacrifice. So that thing of just saying, child, this is what we have and this is how much we have to spend and this is where this money is going to. I think I will try that approach and see if I can't get through to my child. But I also like what you were saying around black tax, because my biggest struggle with it, not personal struggle, but like with people who go through it, it's always like, but what do you even say? You know, and we always like to use the word boundary, but what does boundary look like? And that's what you have basically dissected to us with what does boundary look like? Because a lot of people end up blocking family, staying away from family. And I just don't think that is a resolution. I don't think this culture of cutting people off is the right way of dealing with people that you deem family, unless ngempela it gets to a point where you've tried all options and it doesn't work. So I truly appreciate the fact that you didn't just say boundaries, but you said boundaries that comes with actually what is it? When you say boundary, what is it? Because people throw these words around, like you said last week, people throw words around and they're not actually giving us context of what this looks like. And that's always been my biggest strive around boundaries. Someone will say, no, but you need to put up your boundaries. okay, what is that boundary? Is it a wall? Is it a wooden wall? Is it a brick wall? Is it just a metal, what you call that, fence? You know, what type of boundary are you putting up? It's important because different scenarios and different situations require different kinds of boundaries. Reynald, I want you to go back to your second question that you had.
Okay, another thing that affects another thing that has affected me, right? To carry on with the question that I've asked, right? If maybe the parent says they want the money, right, and then you don't have, from there you become insulted, calling by name or or certain thing, or you are stingy. Do I have to keep on being there for them, but then they are also failing to be there for me when I need help? That's my question. Because when you feel like you need help, I need help, people are not there. But when they need the help,
You are
you
there.
have to be upfront for them.
And the question I'd like to pose to you, and not in a bad way, because family is family, but have you ever questioned yourself, Uguti, why do I continue being there for people who place no value in me?
Yes, I always ask myself, but at the end of the day, I say, it's my family. What can I do?
Okay, I'll take this back to you, Rahadi.
Okay, that's a challenging one. You know, Rakadi can also help you build a brick wall, because because sometimes to protect yourself you need the brick wall, and sometimes to protect yourself you also need to hold people accountable. And that's a relevant question from Reynald. This week I had 4 male clients that walked through my office, and it was actually very beautiful because they are as cutthroat as Reynald is. And so if you've got any tools, you'll have to put them in context and make sure that you're not taking the whole day explaining what that is. And for me, one of the aha moments came when one of the guys was saying, I'm everybody's go-to guy, but who's my guy? Who do I go to? And when you come to that realization that you don't have a go-to guy, or whatever that you're giving is not reciprocated, now it's your responsibility to really reevaluate family, not to reject everybody that hasn't helped you, but to realize to what extent you are now willing to help. So if I'm always helping you out when you have challenges, but when I have the same challenge or my challenges that you can be able to help me out with, and you are not there, now when I sit down and, count my blessings, I have to know to what level can I pour into your cup while I still leave something in my cup. And then get to understand that there are other taps that fills my cup that may not be you. And I can only fill into your cup at the time that I need. So if I'm helping a person that calls me stingy, it means really I'm not supposed to over-sacrifice myself for them. But really, when I can help, I will. You know that thing that says, I'm not going to give you 500 rands because I don't have it, but I can show you that for me to have 500 rands, I started by selling Avon, as an example. I haven't sold it, so I'm not promoting it, but I'm just saying. There are people that know where to start. One of my friends has just shown her helper how to make crocheted hats because they're selling like hot potatoes. And now, on her free time, she can sit down and make a hat for someone else that's going to buy, and she has extra money. And now I can show you how to fish if you are interested, but you can continue to call me stingy. I'm willing to show you how, but I'm not going to over sacrifice myself, because sometimes people are happy when you are in lack by helping them until you give off yourself. And there's nothing to give. So I guess let's also teach them, yes, they're family, but let's teach them how to fish. I've got people that call me and say, I'm tired of this job, I want to quit. And I said, okay, no problem. Send me your CV. Let's see where else your skills are relevant. And guess what? I never get that CV, because I noticed that that person only calls me when they're heartful at work. But they then don't want to do the work. So also hold them accountable. Let them do the work. And that will help you a lot, Reynald. Yes, I know it's not everybody that is brave to open their salary advice and open their bank accounts and show a person that this is how much I'm making. But I know my mom got to that level when we were in high school, and she said, this is how much I earn, and that's my net salary. That's what goes into my bank. Now, these are my needs, and these are your needs. Now, let's start with what's important. And she said to me, whatever that is left is yours. Did I work on that spreadsheet until I could see I still didn't know how she survived? That's before I knew there were days of, credit cards and whatever. At that time, she had just taught us to use what we have within our means. And by showing us her salary advice, we could see that she's really doing her best to make ends meet. And so sometimes we have to be that transparent, but well, it's not always that we can be with the people that we love. But yeah, family, sometimes when they are so over your boundary or wanting to cut through your boundary, give them the responsibility and hold them accountable.
You know, Rahadi, when you go to that, there are even people who would actually have that expectation that you spend when you say, oh, I just want to spoil myself with whatever. They actually start to feel like that. Why are you giving yourself that whatever? When as soon as you say you want to do this for yourself, already they're thinking, no, this money should be coming to me. And it's not, I don't know how we created this stance where people feel like they can do that and they have the right to do that, because I feel like it's not just your parents, it's like a family situation. And I've seen it happen to people. And at some stage, I actually, with one person in my life, I said, you need to stop oversharing, because every time you tell people that you want to do this and this and this for yourself, they think now you have money that you can spend on them, as if you don't have a right to do for yourself. Yes, the entitlement. There's even people who would say, no, I need a car, or I need, I've even seen siblings before where one sibling would say, I need clothes. And the other sibling is looking like, the one who's working looks like a mess. The one who's not working looks like 5-star. I mean, even our parents have even done that with us, where we look like we are top notch, everything is fine. But your parents can't even buy themselves a chocolate. And that's where this legacy of entitlement starts in our young age, where we constantly over sacrificing for our children. It even goes back to what we were talking about how families, sometimes the kids are there, but the kids are there in the shop eating sweets. They're not actually being taught how to do the job and how to understand what goes into this business. One thing, and my grandparents were not entitled, but my mom was also doing something similar to what you do, Lerato, not coaching, but also working with people. And my grandfather used to work for her. They were there and they were working. At times my grandfather will just come, and not because they were working, because they were forced to. But I guess maybe it's the type of people that they were, where it's like, you know what, instead of hiring someone to do this job, like let's say the secretarial job in the administration, my grandmother used to do that for my mom. And in that way, then that money that's meant to go to a secretary is actually now going towards her. And even with my grandfather, because he was good with the garden, he'd take his time. Like, I think my grandfather will even sit on the floor taking out each little weed in the garden because he was very thorough, which I hate because I've got that from him. But he would just come and he'll spend a whole weekend or a whole week, not that they were forced to, but they understood, you could say, okay, for us to find balance, let us do our bits, and then that money that's meant to go to the gardener, then we can use it. That money that's meant to go to this, because your parents probably have some skill, but some people are unteachable and some people you can't actually help. And that's the thing about life. But I want to go back to the legacy conversation, right? The topic for today is, what legacy are you leaving behind with your children? What are you teaching them about where you are in terms of your career? How are you teaching them to manage their finances? How are you teaching them about your life experience so that they can do better than we did? We find ourselves, at some stage, I found myself not drowning in dates, but so scared that where do I get money to go out to a restaurant? Because I just have so much dates that I don't even know how I created it. And that's because that skill and knowledge around money management was not passed down to me. But I saw my mother manage her money. I saw her do things with her money. I saw her achieve a lot of things with her money. But the day-to-day management of money, I didn't know. And the worst thing is that my mom would protect me by not give. I never got cash in hand. And even with managing my own things, my mother would actually pay everything directly, which was good. Things that, like, some kids would be given like 2,000 rand to go pay fees for this and go pay what and go pay for the doctor. My mom would pay directly to the doctor. But the skill that was taken away from me with that is that I didn't have then the responsibility of saying, if I have 350 rand and maybe I want to use 100 rand to buy more groceries, maybe I should go to a cheaper doctor, you know? And I never learned those things of negotiating prices, negotiating for things, and, trying to get the best option, because all the options were already done for me up until varsity. It's not a bad thing. It's I think it was her way of protecting me. But the life lessons of money management that you're supposed to learn when you are in university, where you start your independence, they are taken away. So giving your kids a little bit more responsibility as they grow, a little bit more knowledge, and feeding them more knowledge about what you're doing, so that even when they make, a lot of times our kids, and I even remember, there was a time even my grandmother's like, why don't you study this? Then we can continue the legacy in the family of this. And I'm like, no, I've got my own things. But never made it attractive into, why do you need to do this? Why are we doing this? Why is it important? Make it sound exciting. Make it look exciting. Because as children at certain ages, things need to be made. You need to entice them. Unfortunately, you need to sell this idea of what you do to them, because when it's forced as well, that's when they reject it. Not that it was forced with me, but like, you're like, yeah, but why? And I think that the issue with our parents with our parents, let me leave it at that. The issue with them is that the why was never given to us. So you never knew why. Why do you want me to do this? And the answer would always be, it would be good for you, it would be good for the family. But the bigger understanding of why was never brought to our attention. Nevich, it's a Nevich or Nevich. I don't know. Before I murder your name, please, sir or madam, please come on and let's hear your part. Black Tex has put a rift between me and my siblings. Ish. Yeah, KK. The legacy of Black Tex is a big problem. Nevich, are you here? Otherwise, I'll move to Mseleko. Oh, let me actually unmute you. Oh, what did I do? Where's Uncle B when I need him? He's sleeping. We've been reading the Bible the whole morning. Okay, let me try technology. There we go. Okay, I had muted you. There we go.
All right. Greetings Mangunis. Ngiyanibingelela Mangunis.
Unjani?
Sanborn.
Ninjani?
Siyaphila. Am I
Siyaphila.
muted?
Yes. Asibonge. Ngidlula ngendlela.
Cha, woka before nje uze uqhubeke awusichazele igama kuqala ukuthi lisho kanjani. Hawu.
Ngiyakhona. It's not actually igama, that's my office in my religion.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
Yes, that's actually saying prophet in Hebrew.
Oh, all right. Interesting. We
Yeah,
learn every day.
Navi or Nabi. That's a prophet in Hebrew. So my name is Enoma or Imran, which means faith in your English or Tswana. It's Tumelo.
Beautiful.
Yeah. So I live my life like a Jew. I won't lie to you. Sing Alibali, Genesis chapter 11, verse 1, where our father saw all the cultures were there. But he said, in this world, I prefer one culture that brings you all closer to me, which is the culture of the Israelites, the Jews. So that's why I actually scrapped my culture and said, I'll listen to what the Bible says. And he said, let's live according to the language that he preferred, which is Hebrew.
Okay.
Yeah, anyway, in short, ngiyanizwa Mangonis. Ngiyezwa ukuthi niyakhuluma. It's a very sensitive topic and a very delicate one. But the synonymous of this topic actually needs a lot of people to be invited so then they can actually brighten their minds. Because to be honest, I've been listening to all of you, even you when a hoster, when you spoke about impilo yakho, like right now, to what your parents did to you. According to me, actually, as well, I experienced the same thing that you went through. My parents were actually not giving me the dividends in my life to say there's the profounding things that you need to go through and have. While, mind you, most of my people that I used to be close with, they used to have a lot. I'm one person I've been told not to have friends since I was a very young person by the light that I usually see that makes me to prophesy and all those. So he told me that friendship, it's not something that I need to have. And then it gave me the direction, do and the thoughts, who's and us that I need to follow. And in the beginning, it looked like my parents are suppressing me or oppressing me by not giving me what I need to get from them. But if you get to look at it, they were actually trying to fix some necessary points for logical sequences of my growth. So then when I rise up, my growth should be actually more matured. So I couldn't see it, but within the range of my ages as I'm growing up, that's when actually on some certain stage I've realized that this was part of my teachings of becoming a man and of becoming a responsible person. Typical example, I've got my brother who's 32. He's young, and young as he is, he's so useless. I'm sorry to say that. We fight every day to the point that he actually partakes drugs, and then he's a married somebody, but he steals even his furniture. So do you understand that the way he grew up soft, it made him to become like the kinds that we see every day by partaking drugs and drinking too much, disrespecting the wife, disrespecting the son, and then he's not actually looking up on doing things the way I used to do. And right now he would look at me as he thinks he's better. And I'm not saying I'm better with anything. It's just to know that as a person, you need to know how to stand for yourself, how to fight, how to make business, and then how to get a job and how to do good with the job that you're doing. So, like you said, we may not all be the same, but it's all about what you want in your life. I was born individual, and I've learned that Hitler, evil as he was, he said something that Apostle Paul said in the Bible, that do not repeat the same mistake that another person did. So I do not want to repeat the same mistake. You can't want to go out and say you're going to sleep with many women. Others, they are not even your types and kind. and you end up coming at home with HIV. Yet someone told you that I got a mistake before, or I made a mistake before by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and you repeat the same steps that the other person did. That's been naive and stupid and blonde. So when you need to do your things, you need to learn from others. If their mistake was similar to yours, stand out, pull your sources and say, I don't want to do things the way they do them. Thank you. You're going to do them differently. And so that's how you do things. So even at this present moment, I'm saying to people, stand up, fight, and work and do things for yourself. That's how we can make it. That's how our children can do it. I've got a child. He's a adopted child. And this son of mine, he's 22 years. And when I adopted him, he used to think that I'm too strict. He used to come to my shops and he would tell people that I think I know too much. But when you look at it, he learned so much from me that, you know what, this gentleman, he's so powerful. He's a policeman and he's not just a police. He introduced his company to SAPS. So meaning that this is someone who's actually saying, I'm fighting the morals and the the government. So he's coming up with something new that will actually be implemented, that will impact the country. On top of that, he's got businesses. What kind of person is this? And he's actually running a church and he's quite strict. And me being like that, he started now taking whatever that I was coming up with. And now he's putting it and indulging it in his life. So at this present moment, when he speaks, you won't believe it. He speaks finance, he speaks God, he speaks family. And it's something that many do not speak. He always asks me, with Daddy, do you think, Mare, I'll have friends ever in this world? Then I tell him that you won't have friends, my son. You're going to be against them because of what you're doing. It's against what the world is doing. So we need to think differently. We need to think differently. That's how we can make it in the world. I wrote something earlier on. I spoke about writing something about Nizera and Jizera. There's a new lockdown that is coming. I'm hearing people fighting, Besta, fighting about this new lady, Chechis, the Miss South Africa, talking about whatever that she's going through, what's happening. And I've been telling them that people, you are fighting of useless things. There's another lockdown coming that we need to actually look at and do it. We've been talking about the 2000s, how they doing things, how they think, and it's going to be worse. They are going to think differently and worse than our age. So this generation is going to be more rotten because the Jizera, it says that no food should be sold in the shops. There's tuck shops and these shops must be closed. If you want something, you need to buy through online. How long are we going to be waiting for the delivery to come with a drone? You understand? And next month, this thing, it will be implemented. On November, new currency again, it has to be implemented. It was supposed to come last month, but they cancelled it. So these are topics that we need to go through. But this needs us as parents to stand tall and firm and bring the past to the future. So then the past cannot be suppressed. Because if the past is suppressed, that means Bible will be suppressed. Christianity will be suppressed. Thank you.
Thank you, Imran. What I want you to just maybe give us a bit on is how did you pass on your life lessons to your son? You know, when did you guys have an aha moment where you just sat together and you one day, you know, there was something happened?
It was the aha moment. Remember in Hebrew, like for example, right now when I'm speaking to you, I've been cancelled on this lives by, what do you call this? TikTok. When you speak the Hebrew language on TikTok lives, they actually crush their lives. So even right now, when you say, was it the aha moments, don't be shocked when we go deeper into it, then they just block you and they will open you after a month or a week, two. That's what they've been doing. So that shows that even this platform that we are on, it's an evil platform and it's a satanic platform. And then most of the people that we've been talking with such topics, they always mostly don't want to hear the deeperness of the things when they come from the Bible. For example, the aha moment, it had to be given. How so? Paul on the book of Corinthians, he says that you can't suppress past with the future, meaning that the past it's powerful more than the future, and it stays like that. And when you give it to them, because of the past, it's original and it's thick and groomed up, powerfully so. I had to just sit down with him and say, son, impilo, it doesn't go as much as you think it goes. Example, women. You can't expect to get women because of they will say no to you. And he says, how so? Then I told him, I said, look at me. They say I look like a woman. And when I was young, they would impact that too much to me and say, he looks gay. He looks gay. Yet I'm not gay. And when you look at me, it's just those big eyes with low lashes, those red lips. And it looks like, no, this guy, he looks like a woman. So they never wanted to be with me because they said, I look weak. And at that time, coded, bracketed, they loved guys who looked panzola. But what I'm trying to say to you is women in this world, they've got the specific thing that they look for. Move along from that. Finance. Finance doesn't go as you look at it. Money, it's in a spiritual form. And money as it's in the spiritual form, the God for the money, he's called this person. And it comes from the biblical terms. And you go back and listen to other things like the person we call Satan in your language of Greek is not actually called name. If you look at very carefully in the Bible, that name came from just describing what kind of a person he is, which we call him Samachmam. So he's a shiny one. So when you look at that, he tries to take from the God of money and he makes himself the God of money. So you need to look at it in the biblical terms for you to understand what finance is. 100 rand, you don't break it. If you break 100 rand, it's gone. So when you save money, save that 100 rand, 247. It shouldn't come out for a sweet. It shouldn't be broken for a cold drink. Neither any woman should say, if you want me, spend this much for me. And if you care to know, women, for example, you are not entitled to spend for them. Maupecha intomazana, you are helping her, meaning you are taking care of her. You are not supporting her. A person who's supporting, it's the parents. Why? They are oppressed. They are actually forced to actually support. So when it comes to you, you just take care of a woman. And then when you come to biblical terms, you need to know all the ruah atios. And the atios, it's what we call codes or words in Hebrew. So when you get to look at that, if you know the right codes, no one can actually come and suppress you. So you won't be obligated to do things like the worldly people. So it's not going to be easy. And you're not supposed to go and celebrate. The celebration word, it's not there in Hebrew. So the word celebration is just an English word that came out recently. So when you say celebration, it's evil. Hence in Hebrew, they don't celebrate birthdays. They don't celebrate. Yes. They give thanks. That's it to God to say thank you for this month.
What's the
Yeah.
difference
The
between
difference is celebration. It includes people. It includes sacrificing. Hence, when you celebrate, you want cows to be slaughtered, you want many meats to be there, different types of dishes to be there. So with them, they don't do that. They actually say thank you. So Thanksgiving, it's through prayer
and
and
then
stick.
because I mean I see feasts in Jews don't have feasts because I've
They
seen
they 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 are actually countable. They are actually countable. So with us, we make. You know why they tell that you shouldn't celebrate certain things. Most of us, we make mistakes with that by including things that are actually evil and we think they are right. So, for example, when we get married, they give us meat in our traditional main focus tradition, which is Zulu. And then they give us meat that is actually broken from the chunk. And then they say they don't cook it. A woman should have a piece, and as a man, I need to have a piece. And then we exchange by you as my woman. You give it to me, I give it to you to say, this is the strengthening of our relation. So it's a sacrifice. So we're eating raw blood meat. Yet what the Bible says, we should not eat any meat that drips blood. But that time, that cow, it's been splitted down in the evening, the following morning, or after hours, we are given that. There are things that we follow. Example, abadimu, abapants. And when we go through that, I know right now I'll be stumbling and stepping on other people's toes, but I'm sorry. When you look at it, in our actual fact, you go to the book of Leviticus. Someone was saying to me, these are for the Levites, talking about the offerings. And I said, you are making a mistake, because Yeshua, when he spoke, he said, I'm not here to change anything, but to fulfill what you already know. So meaning that everything that we knew from the past in the book of HaTorah, it's something that we're going up with it, furthermore with it. So when it comes to that, you go through the Leviticus, the offerings that were given, it's the same as the Zulus, and they come and say, no, it's our culture. Yet everything that they are practicing, it was there 4,200 years. By putting ispanga, by taking the split bloods and pouring it on top of your head, and say, I take everything that is not mine to this animal. And in this animal, Leviticus says you give that to the priesthood and the prophets. They know what to do with it. Marinina, uyayithatha le mbuzi le ewuyibulele, uthathe negazi leli kule imbuzi yakho, bese uyalifaka kuwe, uyidle mawuceda le nyama leyo. Mara uthe all your problems must go through inside that imbuzi. So who's contradicting yourself here? You said your problems must go in that animal, and the pastor or the priest must take that. When we are itata, we are eating mawuceda, meaning you are eating again your problems. Bese ungitshela ukuthi you know your culture, you know where it comes from. You understand?
Yeah, I hear you, Imran, but I don't even want to delve into that because
Exactly. Hence, I'm saying it will be a stumble to others. I'll be stepping on their toes. So
no, not that. I just think, it's conversations that must be had. It's not about stepping on toes, but it's about teaching each other because we do things differently. And I don't think there's an issue with having these discussions, but it will deviate from the topic of the day. That's all.
exactly.
But
Yeah. Hence, I'm saying this will be a topic again for another time. And right now I'll be stepping as you're asking. But yes, that's what I did. I went as deep as showing my son, and I had to show him even the culture of our country. That if you look at the oldest culture in Southern Africa, I had to go through this when a host. I had to teach him, like you're saying, was it a ha moment? So I had to teach him and say, but without wasting time, cutting it short, I had to show him such things. I said, son, go to the entire museums around the world, around Southern Africa. The oldest, it's in Tlokweng, which is Puputatswana site, in the site of Coffee Kral as well. And when you get to that site, the oldest, it's actually reach out up to 1543, 1523. So when you look at from 1523, 1543, all those times, the Ngunis that they were in the country, they were very less. So the first person who stepped in the country of Southern Africa, he was Mohale. Hence, they started changing other locations and mountains, calling them Mohale Mountains. Then we needed to understand. Then they end where? The side of Pietermaritzburg. So that's to show you that that's why Transvaal before, we had only 3 to 4 provinces. I had to show him all that the Ngunis, where they were coming from. So this whole thing now of separating ourselves, of saying, no, we are Zulus, we are Xhosas, we are what. Yet Umukhale get to tell us and show us Uti. These people, they are actually one family. That you look at Shaka Zulu's mother and Dingiswayo, all those people, they were actually the same parents, and they actually deviated themselves or devoted themselves of saying, no, I stay in the southern or southern west of South Africa, which is your Eastern Cape and all those. And they started changing it from a certain province code or campus, and they gave it a different code name. So he started looking at things deeper like that. That right now he's so wise. Sit down with him, you'll be shocked that this is a 22, 23-year-old who talks. And every time when he talks, he's like, hey, Daddy, many people don't want to hear this type of truth. And when you talk, they think that these conversations are just too much for them, and they would say like, no, I'm a proud Zulu, I'm a proud Pedi, I'm a proud Tswana, yet they don't know where we're coming from with this. And the deeper first ones that we are having were actually the Butokwa, which are the ones that comes from all the way from Tanzania, and we're having those Butokwa in our country, and we don't know, and you start breaking and say, I'm a Pedi Mutokwa or I'm a Tswana Mutokwa, yet you don't know why the Mutokwas are in Botswana. So that's how we went through.
Hey, yeah, yeah.
You
I'm
understand?
also one of those. I've read up on that. Mina, my surname is Mkize, and it
Okay.
was surprising that Abantu Basembo, they actually originate from is it Congo, ne?
Yeah.
Or there's a place called
Yeah.
Embo in Congo, and
Yeah.
it's a tree.
They are same with the Mulife. The Mulifas, they are in Tanzania as well. But you see them around and you think that Mulife name, it's actually a Tswana that was created and made, obtained in the country of Southern Africa. Yet it is not. And if you want to hear the most part of this Ngunis, go to the Tsonga king, that slender young guy who's in Zanini. He knows a lot. He knows a lot. I forgot his name, but I've got him in he's a king of the Tsongas. So he described, yeah, described himself as a Nguni. He says, and he's not a Tsonga, and he's not Changani, he's not a Motswana, he's not a Pedi. So he laughs at South Africans when they are busy talking all this traditional cultural.
You know, you're speaking my language, but I also don't want to go in that direction. But what I pick up from this as well is that we've lost touch of who we are.
Thank you.
And losing touch of who we are, how do we then move forward with building a legacy? But as you were saying about your son, I've had this conversation with a colleague, and they're like, I don't care about where I come from. I don't care who. You know, people don't want to engage with such topics. People find such topics too exhausting because I guess trying to really find your lineage is a lot of work and requires a lot of healing. And even the things that get unraveled when you go deeper, there's some of it's not nice things to hear. You know, when you think about the mixed race culture in South Africa, I mean, more, not even in South Africa, worldwide, that the mixed race culture, their history and lineage comes from pain. So you find that sometimes people don't want to delve into that because the pain and the controversies that come from opening up those Pandora's boxes, it
Yeah.
with so much that they don't want to deal with it. But then it also impacts the healing, as Uncle B will always say, the healing of the generational trends that come with that. Because some of these things, they are taught over generations, not only taught, but passed on through action. So if maybe Uncle is an alcoholic, it comes from way back when. And
As
now
I'm
you
stepping,
become an
as I'm
alcoholic.
stepping, as I'm stepping down, to all those who are on the panel that have been listening and those that are listening, Bosi, Mselegu and Usis Lerato and the rest of everyone who's actually the typing or typist right now. Let me tell you something, people. There's a thing that Malema is bringing in the country of the Southern Africa, and whatever that is cooking and trying to bring up, it's not a blunt thing. There's secrets and deeper secrets among everything that he knows, that he was even told and shared with the older people, like Abu Winnie, the one who raised him, who adopted him, like Mandela, who adopted him, like Anna Cyril Ramaphosa as well. And that hence, even last time when Cyril spoke to him, you should question yourself one thing. The body language speaks so much, which is what the Hebrew language says, that your actions says a lot. How am I saying this and why am I saying this? Did you hear what the president said last time, ladies and
Now
gentlemen?
we are deflecting too much from the
No,
topic.
no, no, no. We're cutting it. Then I'm saying before I step down, I'm giving this to you for giving to your children and to give to yourselves. Everything that happened last time, look at what the young person, which is Malema, did. He said something so important that this is the thing about South Africa. And you as youngsters, you should come up yourself in this method. But the older person said to Malema, "You disrespecting me." And when he said you disrespecting me, but he said it in a nicer way, you question yourself, why was he not too harsh towards him? So what I'm saying to you is that everything that we are facing at this present moment, it starts with your mind, to impact your mind with more knowledge of who we are. That's how strong and powerful we can be. Siyekele lento le ukuthi esikolweni we are taught a grasshopper and a tree. So we need to learn about the surroundings and where we're going. So may the good Lord do you good, whoever you are. Go deeper into whatever that you need to go through. All the youngsters like me who are parents right now, may the good Lord bless you and be with you. Amen and amen. In the name of Jehovah and Yeshua, be blessed.
Siyabonga kakhulu, siyabonga.
Thank you so much.
We are continuing with our talks, right? It's our pajama talks. The topic for today is what legacy have you passed on to your children? How do we continue the legacies that we have built ourselves? So, are you building a legacy? How do you pass it on to your kids? Not only your wealth, not only your financials, but the skills and knowledge that you have, the historical family knowledge that you have, passing it on to your kids. You know, another thing that comes up from what we're talking about now is the indigenous knowledge that is not passed
Yeah.
on. And that's why I was saying, when, you know, my previous live, that was just black because I joined for 10 minutes and my screen was black. What I shared with you guys then, that, you know, there's so much that is not passed on to us. And if you don't question the elders that are here right now, today, in your family, that indigenous knowledge will be lost. And it's important for us to actually ensure that we understand why are things done in that way, so that when you make decisions, you make informed decisions about where you're going. You know, even this whole thing of keeping culture, rejecting culture and tradition, let it be an informed decision, understanding how has this benefited my family and how has this impacted my family and how do I move forward with this as a family. Selego, I'll come to you now, then I'll go back to Lerato Rachad. How are you, sir?
Good morning, Njan.
Good.
I'm good. Good morning to everyone in the panel. Morning to even
Hello,
Nalika
hello, hello.
Malele.
Please block my
Told me
mic.
about your
Please block my
name
mic.
and I can't even pronounce it. But
Imran.
yeah,
Uti,
Imran.
the name is Imran. Navi is a prophet, a Jewish prophet.
Okay.
I got
No,
it.
thank you. I know. Thank you. Sisi, this thing, man, is so simple, man. And me normally I like to talk about me. I don't like to generalize. Most of the time, I'll talk about me, and I will talk about something that I see. We've been given power. It's just that we don't see. And then we negligent or whatever. I'm not too much with English. I don't like English. I speak English because of we're getting paid because of speaking English. But you cannot tell us good we have problems while we speak English. You must speak your mother tongue to show that you have problems. But then let's go.
Correct. Isintu. Ngoba umuntu nomuntu language yakubo. Fale ngabe kahle kahle we can sit on a platform as Africans and understand each other. Especially nje la South Africa nje sisasodwa, and then move on to the rest. But
We're still struggling. We're busy speaking English, but struggling. But let's go. Sharp. See, this thing is like that. Me now, when I grew up, yes, my dad passed. I was 1 year, 6 months. Then came Joburg. My mom could take me to my parent work. Sharp done. But then I grew up protected. There was something that was keeping on protecting me. I didn't know up until I know it now. Sharp, fine. And then I went to school. Then after then went to college. I couldn't get a job. Hi, Bo, what's happening? One of my sisters got sick, and then they took her to the traditional healer. Traditional healer was like, no. When are you sharp? We need your brother. Your brother, which is who? Me. When I got there, hey, my man, your mom made a mess. Mess how? The time we got married to your dad, and then your dad passed on, then she left without doing is in those that say Makai, because of they took their cows. You know, the family did that, and then Yena she was like, and then Yena she was protecting us, but then only to found Guti it was a mess. But then go and speak to your mom. I got to my mom that was like, son, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then go back home. When I got home, the healer told me, the prophet and the healer, whatever, he told me to go home. And then when you get home, I went home. Mind you, there's nothing. There's only my grandfather's house there. When I got there, they said she's selling pepper. And then after Impepo, then when I get back, I got a job. And then where I'm working, I'm still working there. I'm talking about something 16 years back, 15 to 16 years back. Still now, I'm still working there. Sharp. Now, what I'm trying to say here is we've been given the legacy, but then we don't see. Sneakers amandla. 2 years back, I found out Uguti, there's a place that Umkul Ashiele on it. He left that place, he left the land for us, for our dad. But because of my dad is passed, then we had to Guti Tines Zugulu to share that land. But then I was like, no man, I'm making a lot of money here. I'm sharp, I have businesses. And then why there was a need of going back? You understand? And then my mom got a stroke just after those weeks. And then when I go back and ask Guti, what is it that is happening? Bangchela straight, but we are telela. And then this thing of you consulting, you go to Inyanga, your ancestors, they don't want that. They want you ukuthi uye ekhaya. When your medicine is at home, once you get into that area, you get everything. And then, but the reason when I check ukuthi, the time I'm in engineering, when I go to school, when I pass, you'll sometimes there will be a wedding, something that will make me go to KZN. There will be something. Maybe sometimes there's funeral, and when I'm doing something that is serious, there's something that is gonna push me back home. And then when I get back home, when I come back, I'm very powerful. Business, everything, Texas. I was in Texas industry before I left Texas. I was very powerful, sharp. Now, one thing that I'm okay. Then that after I told Babu Mngani, my uncle, can I have my land? I got my land. Come back. I'm fine now. Now, what I'm trying to speak to say, Wuti, the legacy is there. Our fathers, even though they did, they gave us a legacy, but then we still don't see that. Sharp. But what I did, Mina, when I start working, I was staying in an RDP, and I'm still staying in an RDP. My mom left that RDP to me because I'm the only son in the marriage. Left, and then the time I started working, I built a house in Kwamhlanga. And then I started staying here. And then, yes, I bought my own house, and then my wife got her own house. But then we were like, listen, your house, because of I got you with your son, this is your son's house. Where now you got me with 2 kids. This is me, and this is the houses. There's 2 houses. I have a house, a bond, and here. But now, because of we are working, we don't have to give us stress. Let's make money. Let's rent out our houses and then start making a money. Salary and your salary. And then we started with taxes. And then Mina, because of I was in engineering, I took all my career and then practiced my wife. As we're speaking now, my wife left.
Oh no. Did your network drop? because I'm following. I'm like, I want to follow this right through to the end. I don't want to interject. And now, because I had questions, Selego, I had questions, and I've been holding them because I wanted you to finish. Hi, Sis Butle. How are you? Sure, he dropped. Lapo, I had questions, guys. I didn't want to disturb him, but I had questions. Okay.
I
Hopefully,
think he'll come back.
yeah, I hope he's gonna come back. Seleko, I think your connection went south there. Please come back because I had questions. I was just listening softly, but I wanted to find out a few things like what is the actual legacy that he's referring to, and what is it about home that was giving him strength? I know, but not that I know, I have an idea, but sometimes you find that your idea is an assumption and not the actual reality. So that's why I wanted to wait, but you can continue, Felix.
Okay, where did I left? Because when I'm talking, I'm closing my eyes, Pelamin.
It was that you were renting out properties and then you were also training. I think you were saying that you were training your wife or something because you said you're in engineering and then you were passing the knowledge of what you know to your wife. I think you were
What
going.
question do you want to ask?
I was asking Guti, like this legacy that you're saying our ancestors left us. What is this legacy?
Okay, the legacy of a land, the legacy of us being us, know where we're coming from. The legacy of my sister, I'll come back and then explaining it in a way of a business. You understand? Maybe you will understand because Mina, they left land for me, and then I was like, I'm making money and I'm not gonna go back. And then that's legacy. And then I have a plot already. I went there, I claim my legacy, and then I got my land. It's about 5,000 square meters.
Wow.
And then I build it, and then I'm busy on farming now. But then I'm doing farming here in Joburg, and then let me come with the story. I will explain it with what's happening.
We also want the land. We also want the
Yeah,
land.
there's land. You guys are like, I mean, I'm such Joburg, I'm fine. Hey, Makoti and what. But yeah, I have a land. Sharp. Let me explain this thing this way. Okay. The business, my business was so simple, guys, man. Because of Texas fine, because my uncle were in Texas, but then it was not good there, and then I left. And then the legacy that I'm talking about is like dream. I dream my dad. Even if my dad passed on when I was 1 year, what? My dad came to me and said, "Brah, quit beer." I can talk to my dad, man. I quit beer, and then the way I'm so powerful, my dad can even come to my wife. And then my wife will tell me, Guti, you know what? There's time to go home now. He can do that. Okay, let me fast forward. The business, it was so simple. Our house was leaking with a roof leak. Bad. And then one guy came to me and say, Spoo, there's guys that I know that they can do a roof leak for you. And then I was like, who's those guys? They said that guy said they will charge you 200 rand. And then when they come in, I could see this guy, they're coming with cylinders. These guys, they're coming with a membrane. They're coming with, this thing is like a tire. They touch on this thing, is like a tire, it's like a rubber. And then they put it into my roof. Because they said they will charge you 200 rand. Only to find this guy, they charged me 3,000 rand. And my wife started complaining. I was like, what are these guys doing? I was like, no. Leave these guys. I want to see what are they doing. And then they did this. And then ever since then, my roof never leaked. And then I was taking pictures and videos. After then, I took those videos, sent it to WhatsApp and Facebook. And then everyone was start calling me. And then I asked those guys, if I can start a business with you guys, how much are you making? They told me, no, we're getting so much at work. Probably they were getting 200 rand, 200 rand a day, something like that. I was like, no man, I can make a lot of money. That's when I steal those guys. And now that business, because of I was working, I teach my wife. And then I took my experience and then I said, you know what, there's something that called safety. We must have safety file. The same thing what like we need to do to checklist. We must do the what do you call the classes, those molanyana classes for our safety. So we were gonna be working with fire, uguti, how do you prevent it? And then if there's fire, we understand abu firefighter, those molanyana classes. And I told my wife to go and practice all those things. And then we were working on the roof. I told them, uguti, no, let's have a certificate for height. Our guys must have height, what do you call it?
Not the certification.
Working at height. Working at height. And then fall protection. Yes. You must have the certificate for fall protection. And then we must have a certificate for 5 years, for 5 years. All those things. Whatever that I'm doing at work, I'm giving those practice. Nice. You understand? And then we register the business. The business, when it goes up, and then I was like, okay, no, now we can do abo but in loan. You understand? And then we were like the business by logo ikulaga. Right now we have an electrical business. You understand? We're doing electricity, and now we're doing scaffolding, and now we're doing roof leaks. We have a constructions now. We're doing a lot of things.
You have an engineering company now. You have an engineering company now.
Yes. Now we are on big companies now. Big, not just small companies. I'm talking about Toyota. I'm talking about Tiger Brand. I'm talking about there's a lot. There's not. I can't mention them. Now, what I was doing when I was at work, when you come, because of I'm in level 1, it's just kids when they come, I start showing them how to work. And then when you start working with me, I will tell you what you don't speak English with me. Kulumizulu or Westwan. Yeah. Or Westven. Understand? So that then Baba open and then I start showing them how this thing, how it works, this and this and this and this electricity. Because I did electric. I'm an artisan network. I'm a millwright, electric and mechanical. I do that. Now I practice. I showed my wife these things. No, you don't have to know this, but you can hire someone that has this certificate. You can hire someone that has a wireman's license. You understand? I remember we once had a big major problem where one of our guys, and then he connected a dead short, and then they stopped us, everyone, and then I called. I said, "Don't panic. These are the questions that they're gonna be asking you. This is how you need to answer them. Just tell them, yes, it is your company, and then you registered. These guys, they have this certificate and this certificate, and then go to your laptop, bring them. Well, now you don't have to know all those things. Well, now you just hired because of as a company, the owner of the company doesn't have a artisan skill or HR skill or whatever. Then they can hire those kind of people. Then that's the thing. Then that's when my wife, when she resigned, the one thing that I love about my wife, she can properly speak English, and the spelling. She's very good on checking the spelling because she used to work for the bank. And then I've noticed those skills with we cannot get robbed here. You understand? Because of we are in the Krumangai. The contract, you can tell you this is a fraud contract. You understand? This is the right contract. This is, you check the spelling, you check, there's quite a lot of things that we're doing. You understand? Now, the skill that we are having, even my company, we can even open a workshop, training center. You understand? We can open that. And then my company can also take a kid from matric and then register the apprenticeship. And then with apprenticeship, I have a certificate the electricity. You understand? I'm going deeper now. I don't want to go deeper. And then because of we qualified, and I can also hire those guys to come and train our kids. You understand? I can do that. You understand? Now, the skill that I have, I push it to my wife. The reason people I trained my wife ngaleso skill less is because of I found a lot of our friends they okay this business they needed money, patient, lot of money to be wherever where you wanna be. But then sometimes you find you start doing a business with someone else, and then that person will come just pop up the money and then eat the fruit at the end of the day. Yes, they have money, but then at the end of the day, that person might win your company. You understand? And then now the biggest problem now is where you passed, and then your wife will be a housewife sitting at home, and then someone, and then that person, when your wife died, your part when you die, and then you I can able to come and say, okay, here's 10 million or here's 5 million. Sorry for ukuthi umuntu lo shonile, sorry to the family, and because of your wife doesn't know the skill and they don't check the books, she will be happy.
Can
And
I,
then if that
this skill and knowledge that you're passing on to your wife, are you also passing it on to your children?
I can, yeah, that's the same thing. My children are doing the same thing. My children, the one thing that I've been teaching my kids, it's I'm the one that I'm the boss of this house. Me, Naim, I'm the only person that needs to have money. No one must carry money.
Why?
And even if my kids are blended, a family, we have a blended family, I even tell my ex-wife, Woody, you don't give kids money.
Why?
And apparently I'm staying with the kids. Okay, the reason I don't give my kids money is power. You give a child money, they go and buy sweets. It starts there. They go and buy sweets, they go buy Zimba, they go and buy cold drinks, they buy that, you understand? And then you found Uguti, our kids are involved with the community that we are not doing the same. Some are poor. Now they will be bossing those kids. The kids, they are not gonna be the same. Now they're gonna feel like they have power, animali. And once they start spending that money, even if they start working, they will think, you know, the money, you must have money to spend it.
But then is it not about teaching them how to handle the power that comes with money? Because with the legacy that you're leaving behind, and if they are able to continue with it, it means that they need to now have the ability to be responsible with the power that comes with money if they are able to continue with its success. But if they aren't taught at a young age how to handle this power that comes with money, then when they grow up, you will pass on. Mom will be there, and remember, moms are softer. And also another thing that I mentioned earlier, I would say that unity also, and I know you said you've taught them that you are the lead. Do they know that what comes after that is the mom, and that their unity lies in their mom, and they need
They
to now be united, and even from mom to them and from them to mom, that connection is there. Because one of the weaknesses that I've seen is that once you as the lead pass on, everybody starts fighting amongst each other and things fall apart. So the first one is the power that comes with money that you mentioned. And I asked Ugusi, by not teaching them how to handle that power, would that not empower them more? And then the second one is the relationship between them and mom. Because when the lead passes on, sometimes the kids are like, but it was dad's stuff, or dad was doing this, or dad was doing that, or dad was doing it differently. Because when you pass, she won't do things exactly the way that you did because you're different people. But now the kids have to respect her decision making. And now vice versa, because the kids will be older and maybe be seeing and learning new things and new tricks of the trade that they can bring in to grow the business.
okay, I get what you're saying. We respecting one another because of when even though I can say I, Yes, most of the time I can talk about myself. I. Hence, even now, whoever that's run the business is the wife.
Yeah.
Mina, I'm working, and then my wife is the one that is running the business. That is why I even told you, Guti, even the time that there was a mess, I was the one that was calling you, Guti, you gonna go, and then this is good, not this is the way you're gonna be answering. My kids are working. We are working with my kids. Uh, right now I can't be lying to you and say we are working with my kids because of now I'm working on companies. Back then, okay, but 3 years back I was working in residential areas. Ukuthi ungagibela ngestepisi and then go and fix someone's roof. I'm no longer doing this thing in residential now. I'm doing in mines. I'm doing it brutal. You understand? Now it's risky. You cannot take your kids there. But then my kids, I have even okay. I have pictures and I've been posting, but ever since now I'm no longer posting because of we know when you're doing better, the people will say, "Oh, manje seke yachoma." You understand? Now you need to stay away from social media and all those things. But then the legacy, the skill, I'm pushing the skill into my kids. There's quite a lot of things that I can share with you. We have a farmer. Every day when they come, in Joburg, there is a group of the guys. They told me, "Hey, Spoon, let's stop stressing about our wife. Let's concentrate on the farmer." This group of us, 5 of us, everyone, we buy 3, 4, 5, and then there's a certain amount of money that we're paying. From 0 to 10, to 10 cows, you pay 1,000 rand. If it's more than 10, you pay more than 1,000 rand. Now we're taking that money, sinikeza umelusi, the shepherd. You understand? Now the skill here is because of I have a land, and then now here I can able to see my kettles and whatever, and then after says kulile, I can transport them. But then it's something that I just started recently, and then now it's something that I wanna pass it to my kids. If there's birthdays and all those things, I'm no longer gonna be buying them aboma cake or bicycle or what. I'm gonna give them maybe 1,000 rand. Here's 1,000 rand. Go and buy imbuzi, goat. Goat is ambala buguma 1.5 to 2,000. They buy it and then those kind of the thing. Those kind of the skills that I have. You
So
understand?
that and
But
also
let me
help.
not lie and say I have a farmer. We just started now. It's not something that I can say I have it. But then the idea was there. Yeah,
It's
the
coming.
idea is there.
It's coming.
Yeah, it's something that is coming.
Lalela, don't be apologetic. It's coming. Don't be apologetic about the dreams that you have and the plans that you have. Thank you, Nwabi. As I was about to actually call Ubig Mitch to order. I think Putum Selegu said it earlier. English is not our mother tongue, guys. It's not our mother tongue. We cannot be talking about pronunciation when someone is speaking power to us. Pronunciation, it's not our language. You go to France, you go to Germany, they can't even pronounce English as well as we do as South Africans. So let's just not even go there. Should I start with Mimi? KK, they have questions for you, Selegu. That's why I brought them up. And I appreciate you. You know, God works in his own mysterious ways, because this topic for me was triggered by your conversation last week, because I was like, it's something you actually mentioned it in passing, and I noted it because it's something that's always been sitting with me. Guti, our kids, they are losing out. There was this young gentleman that I met when I was doing my honors at UKZN. His name was Simji. Lapo mina, I had left EKZN long ago. Like, I left KZN in 2003, 2004, because it was December, January season. And I went back home to do my honors. And then I met this guy, Simji. He's Indian. And immediately after honors, he got married. Like within a month or two, he got married. And then in January, February, I'm driving around, I don't know, with looking for stuff. And I go to this shop, this street in Durban, and it's got Simji shops now called Simji. There's like 5 of them in one street. I'm like, Simji, why is your name all over Durban? What's going on? All these shops are written after your name. And I'm joking, Jalo, because, we're still young, we're still kids. I'm like, hey, you guys are shop owners in your family. He says, yes, one of them is mine. I'm like, how? Here I am joking, God, you're a real shop owner. And he says, yes, actually, one of them is mine. That's why most times after classes, you don't see me, because I have to go to my shop and make sure that I take care of it. For like while I was studying, yes, the family was doing it. But from here on, now that I'm done with my honors degree, I got married. Now this shop is my responsibility and I have to see how I take care of it. And I was like, yo, and no, so when you brought that up, I was like, how do we continue and grow? Because for some of us, not me though, but for some of us here have grown up in families that have shops, that had shopping centers, that had taxi businesses, that had beautiful big homes, which today you drive in the township and you're like, how? This shop is a wheelie. A shopping center, it's what's happening? What's happening here? What happened? And it's either, and another thing that breaks up the legacy is or brings it to its fall. It's also us not taking pride in the things that we have. And I think Selegu said that earlier. We don't take pride in the things that we have. We always say we will do better instead of saying, let me build on to what has been built. Instead, mina ngizofuna ukuthi ubaba unebusha eClermont, but I will leave my dad's butchery and go and want to open one in Musgrave. Musgrave is a suburb in Durban. Instead of saying, let me build this one up and then we'll start our own franchise. There's that guy on Housewives of Durban. A lot of people don't know that he owns Bluff Meats. And that was also a family legacy. But there's also a black gentleman who was in my circle of friends when I was growing up, because they're not my friends anymore. But it's people that I know we grew up around, whose father passed on. And that gentleman and his brothers, they continued the legacy. I tell you, all of them, and they're black young gentlemen. I don't know whether their dad taught them the business, because we're in the same circle of friends, but we're not close. But those 2 young gentlemen, two older brothers, they continued the legacy. So much that when one fell off the wagon, the other one bought the business up. Today, both of them are financially stable. And financially stable is an understatement, because I don't know their pockets. But what I see, they look like they are still succeeding in making the family business grow, because the business is still there. But now they've added other avenues of bringing in that financial wisdom. How do we teach our children to build on from that foundation and take pride in that foundation that has been built by us as parents? Because lento leyo yokuthi uzothi ingane yami mina ngifisa nje yenze into enje, then what are they supposed to do? Why are we here? What is the purpose of bringing up these children to say, now this one must start something there, in our family? And it's good. You'll have a lawyer, you'll have an accountant, you'll have a you'll have a what, but nothing that brings them together, nothing that works for the benefits or betterment of the family. KK and Mimi, I'll go to you. That's why I came Selegu. I don't want you to go. I know you're going to need to go soon. Mimi, I'll start with you because I think yours was short, and then I'll come to KK. KK's, I think, might be a bit deeper.
Morning, Sama. Morning, everyone. Sure, Mselegu. So I fully agree with you, Zama, in terms of building legacies that last. And I think if we look at other races, if we look at, the other brown people in Durban with shiny hair, if we look at Abelungu and shoes and how they do things and how they operate and keep things within their circles being their own families, it's something we, as this brown people with cruz hair, need to also learn, right? And I think that somehow got lost somewhere. And I fully agree with you and the prophet that was here earlier to say, there's a lot that's lost, and abantu abadala, unfortunately, are not willing to engage most of the time in such topics because it's either they carry pain, there's things that they've lost. I live with my mother, and I thank God that she's still alive because it's something I probe, talk about how you guys were brought up, talk about, things, my grandmother, my grandfather, all of those things, which is great. Just in terms of legacy, when Ubud Mseleko started, he highlighted something that's very critical, and I know people brush over these things, which is the base and the foundation of what he is building today, right? And it's very spiritual, right? He spoke about he needs to go home, right? In order ukuthi izinto zakhe zipope. Once he goes home, uyapopa nje, and there's obviously, and from the knowledge I have, that's called an altar, right? That is sponsoring all that he's building, and that he's built today. Iwariam ke ngoku is there's a handover that will need to take place, and the handover is not necessarily to the wife, it's to the children, because that's the future, that's the generation that will remain to build other generations to come.
So just like it needed him, remember when he mentioned with his sister, what his sister was taken somewhere, and then that they said this requires him, and it requires him to go home.
100%. So let's just say Uba, the handover will possibly be to a son that he has. And my question then to Ubud Mseleko is, yes, we see the success in terms of the engineering company, the properties that you've acquired, the contracts that you have in place to sustain and to build up in terms of the business, which is amazing. And that's something that each and every one of us should aspire to and should work towards. And I love, Zama, that you're saying with the guy that you met eskolweni when you're doing your honors, you realize that they possibly are running a family business. And that's why you're saying we have lawyers, we have accountants, we have all these things in our families, but there's no center to say we are building an Mseleko legacy, as an example. And in that legacy, you need lawyers, you need accountants to manage the books, you need project managers to run the projects in the company, and all of those things. And I think that's something that we miss as brown people. Going back to my question to Mseleko is, yes, he's gonna pass on a legacy, a company, and we've seen this, guys. We've seen, like you're saying, Zama, you pass endaweni so, and that family business is destroyed. The children took it over, and they didn't have the knowledge, and they just left it. And as a result, that family center, mall or shops or whatever it may be, is just gone. Whether it be farms, there are farms that were left to people, and they're destroyed, and they are not bearing any fruits. My question to Mseleko is, looking at how he started his story, and I believe there's a reason he started in that manner to tell us ukuthi yena, there's something about him, and he knows ukuthi ekhaya, that's where his foundation is set. And now we might call it other things. He's got a description that he uses for how he understands it to be, and maybe he's not even going deep in terms of what happens at home to then revive. And I just want to maybe understand this from him. Is he going to not just pass on the company and the business and the monies to the children? Is the thing that's at home that he goes home to? I mean, he also spoke about, now he speaks to his father, even though his father has passed on. And if we are going to go spiritual, most of us would know what that means, right? There's a level of ancestral connection that's there. So my question to him is, the legacy that he speaks of passing the farms, the properties, the company, and all of that, is it dependent on the children also being committed and given to that altar esekaya. Because if the base is that altar esekaya, right, and whatever he does when he goes home, is he aware ukuthi should the children say, I mean, I angizwisisi this thing of going home, that the children then may not be able to manage all this wealth that has been accumulated through this altar? I'm just curious around that, Sama.
No, I can CC to ask because of you are right. There's some of other things when we when you're talking here, we're looking at the time because I can't stand here for 30 minutes or an hour long explainer in day one. You understand? And there's into we just talking to them and passing. You understand? You are right. The reason I spoke about that thing is I took my kids from my ex-wife. Yes. And the reason I took my kids, I wanted my kids to see Oguti what I'm doing. And I'm not gonna even brush up this thing giti when I go home, ngiyahlaba, I slaughter, or I do what. No, to be honest. Going home, ushise impepo, that's power. And then now, if my kids are gonna be staying into their mom, ngingazenzanga imfanelo, because of even to a first wife, ngabanikeza imfanelo zabo, and then that's fine. That's why I'm saying this now proudly. I will say these are my kids, because of if ngisokola, I can't stand there and say I'm drinking beer, I'm happy while my kids are suffering. And then I even explained it to my ex-wife, if my kids will stay with you, should I die, they will come and then bully my wife. And then they will start saying, zizinto wena bhuti nikeza abantwana izinto zabo. And then you found your kid is owning your business or your taxes, but not knowing ukuthi when things are sour or when the business is not going well, they need to go home. And then that's why in our culture, ngesizulu, not necessarily my kids, they will go into KZN. But my kids, as much as I can build a home wherever, even in KZN, Mina, they even told me, you know what? When your ancestors, your father, about typical, they know what when they go to Joburg, they just go there to get to work. They go there to get money. You can stay where if ngesizulu, if waka umuzi, before after you get married, kumele wakhele ubaba wakho umuzi. Umuzi means when you get married and build that house, you are not the owner is your father. IsiZulu yinto esikhule ngayo lonto leyo. Now for me taking my kids, I want my kids to see that ukuthi when I'm building this house, I'm gonna call my house, my own house, ekhaya, a home. You understand? Now, if my kids are growing up kwamalume, they will not know what where with guys we've seen as much as your father, we grew up, your father was owning a shop, and then the next thing, the father is gone, the shop is gone. And then we've grown up, we found Wuti, they bring abantwana from Inyati, they give them a taxi, they are sharing. All of the sudden, the business collapse. Go. We understand? And then me, guys, I've struggled a lot. And for me struggling, it was true because of my mom. My mom left the house because of my dad passed. My mom was a closer. He left, then he go to Kaigib. And then the way I'm being a corner, the ancestors, they didn't like it. And now that's why I wanted my kids to practice that. And if, again, I'm not saying what culture, my ex-wife's culture, or my kids' uncle culture is not working. It does work. You understand? One of my child last year, he failed. ngahlangana nomnye umprofita umnye ubaba lokhu simjwayele wathi msane, the reason your things are not going well is because of the time your dad passed on, you went to your parents' place, and then the time you were staying there. After when you grew up, it's like you didn't pay you didn't pay what do you call lenkomole isondlo, because of it's kind of like we grew up into my mom's as parent, but then the time after sisekhulile we were working now, I continue with my culture, with a culture global baba wam, my dad's culture. And then that's when they started ukuthi izinto zami zingahambi kahle. They said, no, go back and just pay. By you paying that cow, your things will be right. And again, it's not like what you need to pay that cow when you need to give it to one of your uncles from your son alone. Bayithenge kuwe because of your dad akekho. That money, it was supposed to be your dad. Inhlawulo yakhona fanele ikhiphe isondlo leso. I did that, and then my kids bapasa. One of my kids wapasa. Those are the kind of the things that I see. Wow, zenzek. Yes, I grew up here in Joburg. Some of the other things ngizibone zenzeka, but then I started realizing ukuthi wow, I got a job by ukuthi mangiye ekhaya. Shoot, these people, they have something deep. Going home is something that is very spiritual, and then I'm not that deep typical Zulu that goes okhulele eKZN. Ever since my mom passed, you understand, I'm stealing those things. You understand? But not necessarily mean ukuthi you have to slaughter, you have to wuti wenze. No. No. Now, the reason I can't remember, if I'm staying here, I will be eating cheese, I will be eating whatever. Then my kids, if things they don't go well into my ex-wife house, they will kind of like say that we need maybe 1,000 rand. But then when they stay here, I will do more. My kids are going to are playing soccer, they are swimming, they are doing all those activities. We understand. But then if I'm not staying with them, I'm not gonna necessarily see those things. Someone will be telling me, and then there's the opportunities. Because remember, my ex-wife will never practice something that let's say maybe she can't say, no, I need 2,000 rand. Your kids need to go for swimming, and then your kids now they need another extra 2,000 rand for such a thing. Now you understand. But then when I'm staying with them, it's gonna be easy for me to pop out that 1,000 rand extra or that 5,000 rand extra because of I'm staying with them. You understand? Now, by me staying with them again, I'm introducing them to the culture. And again, I have my kids are he's 14 plus 10, and my last born is 5 years. I can't tell them or maybe go deeper ngezinto zesintu.
Yeah.
Because they don't know.
Can I check with when it comes to the business side and the knowledge side with your stepson, did you do that with him? I know that he didn't receive it well, but did you do that with him?
My stepson, let me just be honest with you. My stepson,
that the relationship is a bit tense, but at the time when he was still at home with you, were you able to pass on that knowledge and skill to him as well?
I couldn't because I think I stayed with them for 2 years.
Oh, okay.
And then for the next 5 years, he was staying in the rest.
Oh, yeah, because he was okay.
Yes,
no, that's
he was in the rest, and then I can't say I've been staying, but then I used to go there and speak to him, and then we do a lot of things. You understand? Yes, I can't come here and act like I was perfect. I was not perfect. No. You understand? Because there was kind of like challenges, into marriage, guys. Let me just explain the marriage, how that those small things that making us men, we start drinking. You understand? When you come home, there's something that you don't even touch. When you come home, you want to teach your kids to drive. our wives, they have that negative side to say, no, the kids are still young, the accident, what if, you understand, there's all those negative things. But what if you get friends, moto? What if they got introduced with someone that's gonna be, you understand, those negative things, you understand? And then again, when you're spending some time with them, maybe over t-shirt to water the plant and all those things, or maybe when you start shouting, someone or your wife, you'll see your wife coming from the kitchen, coming to your the gardening, and then she also wants to control them. But then when you come home, when I seeing the child making pizza, baking cookies, and then we kind of like motivate and say, wow, hey, ingathi le yakho ishile, yo bona le ukuthi injani, yo let me taste there. But then when you take your kids and say, okay guys, let's do this, they intervene, they come, they ask, how was the trip? Bekanjani babu wakho? And then us men, we don't do that. You understand? Now, sometimes that's why you ended up feeling like, good, you know what, let me just leave these people. When you're sitting down inside watching soccer or pause and then maybe looking at the movie and say, did we hear what this guy is saying? You know, this scene started here, and you understand, you're boring. You're like, what, you understand?
Now, let me tell you something, Seleko, and the thing is with step parenting, and I wanted to share something on this, but I think I may have but touched on the surface. What I've realized is that when your kids are not the same age, it's difficult to relate. Yes, it's very difficult to relate because, especially when you're the one with the youngest kid and your partner has older kids, it's very, very difficult to relate. And I'll tell you why. When you see your young,
I'm talking about someone begamdala. Our firstborn is 24 years now.
yes,
And my wife was so sensitive, and I will say this, I've never got an opportunity to show. I'm very strict. I don't take any nonsense. You understand? And there's one, and I even used to tell my wife, I'm not gonna mislead you. But then I'm very strict. We're not gonna. Last time for this, there's a company called Dr. Odka. It's a Odka. It's a DROETKER. They are doing pizzas. You'll see, and you doing yogurts and all. They're doing freeze. What do you call freeze food? We're doing electricity there. You know. We are the one that was less when we give them a quotation. We were very less. And then those guys, they said to us, guys, because of you guys are less and you're going to be using the expensive equipment, how about maybe you using, instead of steel, maybe you use maybe PVC into the shipping, so you understand. And then my wife made a mistake. She gave them a discount of 50,000. I was fuming. You understand? And now, as you expect to go to Mina, I will be like, yes, we got the money. The discount was around about 70,000. And I was like, well, why didn't you discount at least that 20,000? You understand? Now, like we also doing Italy. If Italiaco is not straight, our wife, they have that thing of saying, no, but Bazamil. No, but they were tired. No, but no.
I'll stop you. I know you're passionate. I'll stop you. But what I wanted to say, and I want to move to KK, then I'll come to Lerato, because Lerato, I think maybe bringing it both KK and Mimi's question to get like after it will help. I will stop you there, chief negotiator. Where I wanted to go with this thing that I was saying about kids being different ages is that sometimes we struggle. Even now, you won't see it now. You'll see it when your kids get to teen stages, because there are stages that kids are very, very challenging. And you'll find that as much as you are strict, but because you have not experienced the challenges of teen stages with your own children, it becomes difficult to relate when your partner is dealing with a difficult teenager and young adult. And I'm talking from my own experience, because I also went through our daughters are 10 years apart. So that was the difference. And you'll find that sometimes when there were just things that I didn't understand, like the rolling of the eyes, the attitude. I remember, my child now is only like 8 years. I'm still the hero. At 12 years, you are still your child's hero. But now at 16, there are tendencies that I'm seeing that my child has, that my eldest had as well. And I couldn't relate because I had not experienced it. And sometimes that experience, even if you're saying, yeah, and Nama used to say exactly what you're saying. I am strict. I cannot tolerate this. I cannot be spoken to like this. You know, there was a time where I got so upset with my own, now when my own daughters, my biological daughter, let me put it that way, became disrespectful now because it's teenage stages and there's certain things, attitudes that I just didn't understand. I had my aha moment. Oh, so this was what was happening. And it's difficult because even your partner doesn't know how to explain it to you because they're also going through that experience for the first time. But they know there's a certain level when it's your own child that it's easier to forgive. And you don't even realize that you're wrong for not being as forgiving or even softer at times. And I'm
Sis
saying,
Kuku, let me explain something. Let me stop you from there. You guys, you love to negotiate with kids. And there's some other times that we not need to negotiate with kids. I've been sitting, I know my kids very well. We understand. The kids, you guys have the tendency of when you wake up at 6 o'clock, you wake them up. We wake up after 30 minutes or 20 minutes, go and make a breakfast, take out your lunch, do this. No, don't do that. You tell yourself, Guti, 7 o'clock, I'm starting my car. 7 o'clock, I'm starting my car. And let me tell you something. A child, you guys are having this thing of saying, let's say maybe a child fall. He fell, then we were like, oh, Tula baby, what. The next, after 30 minutes, he fall. He comes, cry. Men don't do that. Men, they will ask Uguti, why are you falling? Why unga vulamehlo? Vulamehlo, see. Uguti lendo. This is how we training our kids to be men. You understand? Uguti atabange. And then after saying that to a kid, the kid will stand up. He will know, Uguti, my dad said I must open my ass when I'm working. It's so simple. Yes, as a wife, you can be there. If maybe you see the car, maybe the kid maybe doesn't understand. When as a woman, you need to say, your dad is right. Now, sorry, my boy. You support me. Now, you guys, I'm telling you, you guys are so, that's why we ended up you coming into your own house. You cannot even discipline your wife. You cannot discipline your kids. You cannot even you're not being yourself. Instead, we are taking that money that we need to support our kids, basis of Funan and Abantu, that will listen to us. And of which is not right. You understand? Understand where I am coming from, and then with this business. You know, I remember one day, one of the guys, when they come and talk, he cut like expiry so that he needs to do what do you call medicals. My wife was like, I was like, no, this thing it gives you 30 days. You cannot. I have a right to fire this guy. I have a right to him this guy. Why would she was like, she has we have one man down because of I'm a medical worker expiry, and then we're gonna have to do this thing. I was like, there's no such. Don't tell me that thing. I want that guy. I'm gonna discipline that person. Because of that thing, when you talk, it tells you go to report to the clinic. Why didn't you go and report to the clinic? You woman have the tendency of not supporting us. I'm not talking about whatever the nonsense is. I'm talking about even here at home. No, stand with me. And this thing of even if there's a blended child where now you'll be like afraid to talk to my kids when I was my sisters-in-law no. You wake up a child at 1 o'clock, just leave him in whatever 1 o'clock you wake up and tell him, hey Baba, go and wash those dishes. And then me as a husband, I will support you.
But what I'm getting at, and I hear you, it's true, and I think Bernice is right. It's not a woman thing. That is, and I think that is in your experience, ne? Because your wife is a gentle parent. But I also say that even in the blended family, sometimes because we want to be protective, and there's that guilt sometimes that parents have where umzali wants to be protected because they know these kids are not in an ideal family situation, so they'll overcompensate and try to be gentle with the kids, and in this way actually damaging the kids, because now the kids aren't able to take accountability and responsibility, because now we want to walk on eggshells because we're in a blended family, which is wrong.
Exactly.
And you'll find
And
that
then the kids are bullying you. And the kids are bullying you, and then the next thing, and not just even kids, even our sisters. Let's say we go to KZN there, and then when you want me to protect you because of now you don't want to be washing dishes and what. This thing is so simple. If I'm taking a box of whiskeys there or whatever, what makes you Gucci not taking 3 or 4? When you get there with those magogos nyana, you give them maybe 2 nyana, uguti babe on your side. Or Uncle Nyana there, or our cousin, you give them maybe that whiskey so that they can help you to wash those dishes. You don't do that. Instead, you will be standing there and then niyazifihla. We understand? And let me tell you something. Woman, our fathers, they don't know that legacy that we're talking about. They don't know nothing. Let me tell you nothing, because our uncles, they are drinking. Our mama betu, they know the culture more than their husbands. They know what this is time for Shisikandlela. This is time for slaughtering. Have you heard what uzo umamati? Hey, ambo bizubabo wako la pukutu mchelu kuti iskatso kuti clutch inko. Go and call him. Go and call that. This is time so kuti kungeni sonto. You understand? Even if there's a funeral, our fathers, they don't know what this time for ilento ukuthi kuthandazwe. They don't know. Whoever that knows, it's you guys. But then the next thing, where now you will be afraid to monitor the kids. I mean, now we are weak to me if you can't able to do that. I can't.
It goes back to what
I can't stand for someone that they're gonna be bullying her all the time. I can't. Sorry.
I hear you speaking with passion, Mr. Mselegu, and I think it's because it's real life experiences that you see. I want to firstly just answer Umimi as well. Yeah, it is but I think sometimes you need to let it all out, because we all have these experiences that you just don't have any way to talk about. That's why I even created this community. That's why I'm even trying very hard to be loyal to my Saturday mornings, because we struggle, guys, and we've got no way to take it out on and no way to talk about it. And when you talk to your friends, sometimes they don't understand. We don't have communities where people understand what we're going through. And I think most of us sitting here have experienced this in one way or another. The bullying from children because the parent will not listen, and because you're not a team as parents when you are raising your children. We've been through that, but it's also a journey to work through those problems together so that you are able to take it to the next step. But Mimi, to just go back to what you were asking and what you were saying, I think here we are sitting with our belief systems, even culturally, it's different. And I think Umsele kind of answered you in a way that I could pick up, that he sees and you are in agreement in what you're saying. But I don't think he's at a point where he understands fully what you are asking. And I think that is his journey to continue. And one day also understand the lento ishoyo, because yes, and it's different for different people, and also with our belief system are not the same as well as we sit here on this platform. So we all have belief systems that work for us, and we all have belief systems that that have shown us that okay, this works. And only after some time will it be clear to you, see, actually, is this belief system working for me or not? And sometimes when you get, I can even refer to myself where you've had a conversation with someone and you're like, yes, that went right past me. But 5 years later, you're like, yeah, I see this is what this person meant. And I think with that conversation, it's one of those where later on it may be something that is like, oh, okay, this is what this is actually. This is what happened actually. KK, can I come to you?
Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
Angazi manje ngikhuluma isilungu or isiTswana or isiZulu. Hey, siyashawuthiwa
Lesitswana.
kule platform.
And I've got 10 minutes. Lisa's gonna shoot me now.
No, I just need 5 minutes of the 10 minutes. So I just wanted to go back to the original topic, Minage, regarding legacy. What legacy are we passing on to our children? Sadly, for me, that legacy would be from my maternal side. Because, we all know, Uguti, our fathers, are absent. Well, Mina by death, and then the father of my children is also absent by choice. So, into Ekona Uguti, the only legacy I have, which is the only legacy I can pass on to my children. Sadly, in terms of finances, I never knew how my mother managed money. I have no idea what she was doing and how she even did it. When she tells me salary, I'm asking myself, did this woman sell drugs or what to take care of us? Because it's impossible when she tells me the salary. However, I've picked up a few things from my grandparents, things like you lay by stuff, you don't make debts unnecessarily. And it's said that my parents never set me down to help me with imali, how to manage money. It's things I learned as growing up. I made the same mistakes. One day I found myself with a credit card, and overdraft, and a personal loan.
Yeah.
Only because I thought it was normal as an adult, So this is important. And in Ami, I can see Uguti, I may fall into the same trap because I have not shown my children how to use money. So my children don't get pocket money. They get a full lunch with everything, and that's that. So I'm the same like Umsele Gwe. I don't give them money, so they won't know. Ukuthi bayenzeni ngale mali.
Yeah.
Even when there's a cake sale, I'll give my child 20 rand. He brings back the change, and I'm like, yo, udomgelo, why abuyisi change? Because he doesn't know what to do with it. He's so honest that he brings it back. But for me, it is a lesson. And then going back to legacy from my father's side. So my father was a child, was a dropping. So ubabu wakhe wayesebenza la in Pretoria, and he met my dad's mom, and they had a child. He had another wife wherever, in Makapan. So my dad did not even know where he comes from.
Did you say Mokopan or Makapan?
Makapan Stad.
Oh,
So Makapan Stad is just outside of Pretoria. So as much as I carry the surname, but I have no idea Uguti Abobani. I reached out to them on Facebook. We meet. We can see we look the same. We have the same nose. Siabon Uguti, we are related somehow. I tried to find out Uguti, where does my dad come from? And people didn't want to help me. So I have no clue on my dad's side, who's my family, how do I relate to them? I even said to Uncle B the other day, we know we have the same surname, we know we look alike, but nobody wants to talk about that because it's so painful to them, because my dad was a child outside of marriage. So inzima lento lena, that's why I said people don't even want to talk about it. And I even went to some apparently this person, Kirahadi or cousin ya my grandfather, she did not want to talk about it. So it was like I'm opening old wounds. So I just left it. So I know, Uguti, I have the surname, but I have no clue. So the only thing I do, Mina, is into Zagochatevi, because that's what I know. But it's said when lineage and legacy it is supposed to be driven by Abo Baba, but it's not. For whatever reason.
KK, if I can go to myself and my experience with some of my cousins, because Nami, I'm a child, Yagomalum. I grew up from my mom's side and I was closest to my grandparents. I find that I carry a lot of information. I'm like, I know Uncle Biola says I've got a memory that just shocks him, but I do, and I carry all this information. I one day want to put it down on paper so that at least those who come after me can have that information. Sometimes we knock at the wrong doors, and you'll find that your age mate may be easier to talk to than the adults in the family. Even from my father's side, I've been able to get more out of my cousins and my sisters than I've been able to get out of my dad and his sisters. So maybe that route might be, because Mina, I'm very passionate about knowing why. Because I, like, even with how my dad was, I was like, no, man, there must be something. It just doesn't make sense. Why is this guy like this? Because my dad has maybe four, and I want not families as in he's married to four different, like four families, as in children with four different women. And you like, it just doesn't make sense, why? And even this day, he's not committed. He just literally committed a few months ago because I think of old age. But I think if it wasn't for old age, he'd still be single and living the life. And if you listen to him talk, he talks like he's still in his 20s, living his best life. If you were to listen to my conversation with my father, you would laugh. If you were to listen to our conversation with our sisters, like all of us as a family, my sisters and my brother and my father, you'd swear we're the same age. So I needed to understand, why is this man like this? Why is he not growing? What happened to him? And only to realize, actually, oh my gosh, KTP, don't say that, because that's what we say about him to his face.
Yeah.
But getting back to that history, it will actually be easier to talk to your age mates than the old people, because sometimes they're too embarrassed to say, too hurt to say, but you'll find that there's someone exactly like you who wants to get to the bottom of it because they want to resolve and heal.
So the sad thing is that my grandfather wabulalwa la Pretoria. So he was living with my grandmother here. So ekaya waduga, in other words, he was at work. He came to get Begayolandi pension yakhe wabulalwa. My father only found out a few years later when bamfake these missing people thingies. This was in 1971, long time ago. So nobody got to bury him. He was buried by the state. So in Makapan, he's a lost person. YM17 and never came back. So it is such a painful thing that abantu abafuna ukukhuluma ngayo, and I've accepted that. So even my age mates, they know ukuthi there's this guy who went to Johannesburg and never came back. I didn't hear you there.
Sure.
Yeah, so it's a very painful thing. Saying acceptile, we abantwana bakaphalathi, we all call ourselves cousins. We don't know how we relate, but we just say we relate because we do look alike.
Sure.
And I've accepted that. Now fast forward.
Can I pause you? Lerato has to go. I just wanted to give, because she's waiting for some time, I just want to get her insights and then we'll come back to you. Is that okay?
Okay, no problem.
Rakadi, sorry to keep you waiting for long. Hey,
Not a problem. At least
10 o'clock.
You kept me company. I was driving to a location I don't know, but at least I'm just outside, so I'll just walk in Gaten. I just wanted to take some lessons from the previous speakers, especially Mseleku, to see that his legacy is a new legacy, and he's starting it over, and putting those building blocks really need you to work with your partner. And I guess, like he said, the next step is to work with the kids, such that I think Mimi asked a question. If your kids grow up and they decide that they're not gonna follow your culture, or they're not gonna go ekaya and ba de sempepo and stuff, what then? But I guess the answer to that is, the legacy is what they can do with what they have. And maybe they have to introduce a new way of doing things, or a new way of reconnecting with the home. Because sometimes, yes, it's not about the rituals. The rituals normally are connected to your belief. So if you don't have that belief, even if you practice it, it may not work for you. So literally, the legacy that you get to give to your kids is understanding why you are building these businesses, what your future you want it to be like, and such that if they come into this, they know what they're gonna do with the land, the crops. They know what they're gonna do with the cow thingy, animal farming. They know what they're going to do with the electricity company, and understanding how to run those businesses. That will be his core of transferring the skill. Because even if they become lawyers and police and nurse and whatever else that they get to do and spin off, then you literally have a family holding that then gets to have the little companies that report to the holding. Do you understand? And then that's how you take the legacy forward. I guess when he was talking about being a strict parent and the wife being, a gentle parent, I was just laughing here, sitting thinking, I once wanted to be that strict parent. And until I became a step parent and seeing my ex-spouse actually parenting like my father, and sometimes understanding how those little souls that are not negotiated with are literally, feeling crushed and feeling not being part of the family. And I then remembered how I did my best to literally run away from that strict father. And so my gentle parenting is literally driven from an angle of understanding, what the street kids go through when they're running away from home without having full comprehension that your father was just strict, trying the best to, do a life for you. And so sometimes we just need to negotiate that. Mimi saying I should start from fresh. Aye, Matali. I think that's what she was saying. But I guess you will be able to explain to her if I saw it properly. But that's what I was just saying. If you don't follow the culture, at least take something out of how he runs the business and move it forward. But yeah. Thanks, my darling. Thanks for the topic. This was beautiful and empowering. Thanks to everyone that shared.
Thank you. Thank you. Next time you must give me a notice an hour before Uti you're leaving at this time.
No problem.
Love you. Thank you so much for your time. We always appreciate the way you summarize everything for us, and I can see that she's in a rush. KK, I'll go back to you because
let me
I don't want
finish
to not
so
do you
that
justice, because I think is it KTP that's going deeper? KTP saying go deeper, and I get what he's saying. Before you move forward, there was once someone who said to me, sometimes you are kept away from certain things until you are ready to receive those things, because maybe where you are right now, you are not ready and you are not mature enough spiritually to be able to take on the responsibility that comes with that legacy. And when KTP said, he commented and said something on the chat, and I was like, that's what came into my mind when he said that. But let's go.
and I'm going to be brief. So fast forward to now my life. Let me leave the other stuff alone. So my dad, I've got a step sister. I don't like using that word. So I've got, my father decided to father a child outside of his marriage. And one day at church, I happened to be sitting next to this child. It just so happened because I know the child and she also knows me. And I was very uncomfortable because one day she's going to look for her legacy where she belongs, and I'm the only link to that. And for me, it's painful because my mom is still alive, and I don't know how to deal with this situation. Because if I embrace her, I hurt my mom. And I can't embrace her in secret because that's not the kind of relationship I have with my mom. So in short, I'm just saying that sometimes as abazali, they do things and they've got consequences, and we have to carry those consequences as abantwana, which is not fair. Because I am the only link to ubabwake. Although mina, I don't carry the legacy of my father, but I know my father. I can tell her what kind of a person he was. But it's so much responsibility for me. And I truly feel it's unfair. And I have not been back at church. And this is my church where I got baptized, everything, I got born again. And I have not been back there because I do not want to face this thing.
But unfortunately, KK, like I was saying, and it's exactly what I was saying, when it's time, it's time.
And going back to Ubabum Seleku lastly, I understand he's very frustrated with the kind of parenting, as he says, abafazi, this is how we are, and things like that. But this also comes from communication. I mean, if you're getting married for the second time, I think we know now that communication in the first marriage probably was not there because we were so in love. Love was pink. We were on dates. It was so nice. But I think doing it the second time around, you sort of want to know, like, this is why I don't even want to be in a relationship because I just feel like we don't get each other. I need to know what kind of a person you are. How do you discipline the children? If umntwana wenze something wrong, what do we do? Do we put you in a corner or siyakshaya? Or do we take the gadget away? Those are the conversations I want to have in even talking stages. And if we can't agree in that, let's not even date. It's okay. It's fine. So these are the communications that we should have so that we don't get frustrated 10 years down the line because we never had the conversation.
KK, I hear you. But there's been someone, I can't remember whether it was in person or, sometimes I mix up where I hear things because I'm always having these conversations. But someone who said, I accepted this. And then when I got into it, I realized how difficult it is in actual reality. So the conversation, I was ready and verbally I committed. But when I had to experience it, it became a different story. And I realized that I won't be able to cope. Or I realized that I am not coping. But they still want to continue and work through it, but they're not coping. And it wasn't even a blended family topic. It was just a relationship topic. But sometimes you have to experience it to understand, Guti, what is the gravity of what you're committing yourself to. And I think that's what makes it so difficult at times. But with Ubabum Selego and his frustrations with his wife's gentleness, I think you also need to, and I say this to my husband a lot of times, I say we have our different strengths. And you need to understand my strengths. And I need to understand yours. And I think with KTP, we chat with you, sometimes it's also about leveraging from those strengths. Because there are certain characteristics that you can't change about your partner. And I think your partner, Bamsele, as you can see, she is very consistent in her forgivingness and her gentle nature. And now it's like, okay, if she won't be able to do this, do I need to hire someone who's going to be a disciplinarian in my business? Or am I going to be the disciplinarian and maybe change the procedure and say, okay, things like this must come to me because I'm the disciplinarian here. And because she's like that with the children. She's like that with her stepkids. She's like that with her son. She's like that with her employees. That's a character trait that I don't think you can change. So it's a matter of accepting what's okay, Unji. my strength is I am the disciplinarian. And if it means that in this business, should we have issues or HR issues, they must go through me and I must sign off. Yeah, that's just my take on that issue. But there are certain issues that this one it's tough. But then it's a matter of deciding what's okay, saying it's tough. Am I willing to work through it? Or is it tough that I am not willing to work through it? If I am, what measures do I need to put in place in order to work through this? Do we need to talk about it? Yes. First, talk about it. First, see where you draw the line. Like what are your parenting styles? What are your parenting styles? Where do we meet each other halfway? And then if we see that, okay, isn't our going sideways, come back and reflect again. Okay, is this working for us? Is this not working for us? Why is it not working? What do we need to do differently? Are we still in agreement? Are we not in agreement? And if we're not, how do we move forward from there? Yeah, but KK,
Yes, that's
another one for you is the whole sister and your mother thing. We all
and this is summer. You know why ngithi angizi? Because my dad used to take me with lesikhathi ayo check lawyer sisi. And mina, I thought they were friends. So this is very deep. I don't know how old I was, but I remember this house was 5 houses away from Ekaya. And wayehamba nami. So mina, I thought this person was truly my father's friend. And now, few years down the line, sekunengane, in our language, batlisa molato, I don't know, balethi sisu, to a married person, kulethwa isisu. So it's been very painful for my mom, very. It's not as, we don't even discuss it, but I know the pain that she has. So it's something I did not help my father cheat. I did not know.
but I think that's the guilt that you carry.
Possibly, and I've never even discussed this with my mom. But andizi bakithi yazi uNkulunkulu akangiqolele right now. I'm not coming on that one.
And now there's an innocent lost soul who just happens to sit right next to you at church for no reason. And
I will give her the grave number. She can go visit. I can't. I really cannot. It's too much for me to. It's a heavy cross to bear for me.
Yeah.
Maybe if my mom was not here, I could do it, but she's been through a lot already, and I cannot put her through more.
Yeah.
And this child looks exactly like my little sister. You would swear they are twins. That's how bad it is. So, yeah, no, maybe ngizothandaza about it, but for now, aunties.
All in good time. But I think the fact that it's bothering you, you already know what's somewhere down the line. Ungasho ukuthi andizi, but you know, I don't even need to talk, Let me just
Yeah. Yeah.
You want to add? I'm not taking anyone else on today.
No. Mina, I'm done. I'm just saying Guti legacy is driven by people. And also I think KTP, whatever. There could be good legacy and bad legacy. And we sometimes won't know what legacy are we being given.
And that's why I was saying
and I think
that sometimes some things are kept in secrecy or they don't come out at a particular time because we are not ready to be exposed to them. And also maybe at that time, there are still people who are still on this earth whom, if this thing gets opened up now, it might actually affect you badly. So some things are kept because it's protection. And with time, they are opened up and they come out at the right time. And you'll be like, oh my gosh, this is why it couldn't come out then. If I had known about this then I wouldn't have been able to handle it. That's where that comment was coming from. My son experienced the same, KK. His dad took along to his cheating spree. The shame he feels guilty. Eish, guys, I'm so sorry. But in closing, guys, thank you for joining our pajama talks as usual. That's why we don't even ask others to switch on their cameras, because means that now everybody has to go wash their faces, brush their hair at 6 a.m. in the morning. But I thank you all for really joining this live, our pajama talks. I want to go to you, Tatem Sele, go just after everything for you to just maybe close off for us, because you are the one that triggered this talk today. Are you still there? No. Oh, okay.
No,
Yeah.
I'm still here. I'm listening. And I like the fact we take a ngakho. It is good. Sometimes you might find it's a calling. Bafuna ukuthi kube neclosure by asking or maybe make wayixazulula this thing kuzoba neclosure and then bese kuba right. I think maybe she needs to go on with it and then atshela umawakhe. It's so simple. Yeah. On the other side, yes, I had one my comment section was talking about the legacy, and we don't even know what's the legacy that we are having. You understand? Like I can give you an example, like Njengami. I have Ispio. My dad said I must take 2 wives. But then the way my wife held weight, iyalama business lana ngakhona, I'm so afraid because most of the time if they asking me why can't you take another one, I'm like, I've never seen it. Ekhaya bengingenasithembu. My mom, I know my mom A1. Now, eyiphi practice like ubani ongizothi ngibone kuyena eyenza la ekhaya and then be right. You understand? Because I can take it. I can take isithembu to please my dad, but then even him azange asithathe. You understand? It's so difficult in such a way ukuthi. Sorry?
Enye into engayisho kuwena ngalokho ukuthi you also need to, take some time and try to find the answers yourself. People will say, remember, yes, people are gifted to see, they may be prophets, but sometimes the interpretation of what they see may lie in you and not them. Maybe they're supposed to trigger a thought, but finding the answers is with you and not them. You can continue. Uncle B, I will accept you now, ne? Then you will close for us for real. Sorry, I have to close the door.
I have and my network is bad. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. Yeah, and no, amagama amaningi sisigugu. It's just that ukuthi, to be honest. Oh, Zama, man, sorry. Okay, Zama. Yes, it's something that is difficult, yes, as much as I explain it, and it's not something that I'm gonna just be doing because of series into Ziba right. No, it's something that that I need to amgele, and then so that I can roll with it. But for now, it's so difficult in such a way that I wanna stay with my kids. And now, if I get another person, the style that I want, the fact that I'm staying with all my kids here. And then if I get another person, kuzohlala kanjani? You understand? And then I don't want ukuthi kube sengathi ngiyaphapha. The next thing they will be like, you see, because of I think you a woman has that power. I might say this is my business, but only to find that the fact that I got someone that can able to listen to me. And then remember, when you are in business, she's the face of the business. They see her most of the time. They came there because of they see her. You understand? And then as we forget that, once this person gingamphula umoya, this thing will be gone. You understand? Because of she's the one brings up that energy. You understand? And then the fact that she's next to me, Mina will be like breaking and then start disrespecting her. We understand? Now, yes, I have those gifts, but then it's something engafanelanga ukuthi ngivele ngilahle nje, because I'm not deep into him. But then it's those kind of the things engizibona mangiye ekhaya ukuthi wow, mangekhaya, really, even if bekune quotation besifakile, when we come back, they like, no, guys, ihlisani kancane, but we think we like you. You understand? But then, yes, the strict, I like the fact that umgami, we have umntana kasiswam uKangayo, and then he's he's introduced himself kuma nyaupe and all those things. But I like the fact that he understood my wife. You understand? And everyone was like, why ufunani kulo muntu? And then I was like, you know what? Roll with this thing. This child came to you. Yes, I'm strict. I might not listen to him, but then when the fact you are so calm, try, because I don't want to lose this child.
Exactly.
Calm yourself. And then he went to work, and then I think it was 2 weeks back, and then he never found her. And then, but I'm still praying, Uguti, he must go back and speak to my wife. You understand? I'm so proud of getting married to. It's not like I'm saying no, she's bad, what. But I'm saying slightly.
People on the chat have been saying, hey, we am tandu wife wakhe lo baba. We am tandu wife wakhe lo baba. You know that the whole time you're talking about your wife.
Oh, this is my queen. I just thought I'm being so difficult again, and then I'm not gonna drop. I'm gonna be, because I know Woody. I'm sleeping as currently, and then I know Woody. I'm not doing any stupid thing. You understand? Even if I can be strict, it's not like I'm being soft to abanye abantu. You understand? I want to see this woman iphumelela, and I even told her, Woody, when I made you a millionaire, you are my queen. And then if this family can be broken is when there's cheating. If you can start doing that, remember, and then the guys that you are talking to, engineers and all those people that are giving us business, once you start sleeping or having an affair with them, everything will be gone, because you're not gonna get any business. And then when now you'll think, oh, your husband doesn't know English. When you there and then they are speaking, and then sometimes, and I sometimes when she wants to correct me, no, leave me, let me speak.
Ngizongimisa lapho uLisa uzombulala. So let me say why I'm saying Lisa's gonna kill me. We are having a Bible reading session, 24-hour session today, on Zoom. If you want to join, I think maybe you might contact Uncle B Ubusang, that's on the live now on the platform.
Yes.
You can follow him. I don't know whether someone will be able to facilitate adding you to the group so that you get the Zoom link, or he'll send the Zoom link. So I was given up. I said, I'm going to finish this live at 9. So Lisa gave me time in between that schedule so that others can join the live, and then we'll be able to go back to our Bible reading today. So I really have to close, but I just, I think what we're talking about today about legacy, it actually ties into what we were talking about in the lives and all the other sessions that we're having on the side. So I would suggest that maybe you click on Uncle B if you want to go on to join us today. I don't think it's too late, Uncle B, even if they won't fast with us, but perhaps they can join and listen in. But I think Lisa's moving over to change the schedule so that we can continue soon. So I will try to consolidate this live and close it by 10:30. Selegu, I thank you so much for sharing your wisdom and your knowledge. I know that, as humans, because it's always each person to their own, we are all different and unique individuals. We take what we take what doesn't work for us, and we move with it. But I think you've inspired a lot of people here on this live in terms of just your approach into empowering your family. Yes, and Rahadi said it actually when we started the live. I think you also need to make sure that your partner understands your business, because after anything happen to you, your partner needs to know how to move with things. And most times people come in and they take advantage of your partner. because akazi nanokwazi ukuthi makuthiwa sizothatha u5 million wena uzosala no10, what does that mean? If bethi sizothatha u49% wena uzosala no51%, what does that mean? Yabo.
And sometimes they can even give you the whole money, but knowing ukuthi, because ezinye imali these are after 3 months. They can give you everything and they say, no, check, the account is empty. You see?
Exactly.
And then when you will be like, oh, I took 5 million or 2 million or whatever. Oh, I know, I'm fine. Continue, but they know Guti, they still invested. You understand? Thanks, Mamzam.
So siyabonga kakhulu for that, for being here. Ulisa also asked ukuthi siyacela bandla ukuthi uphinde ubuye uzokhuluma ngokuthi utheni sikhulisa kanjani abafana, something like that, because she has a son, a young cute little boy that she's raising, as not as, I won't call her a single parent, as a co-parent. So she just wanted you to come back one day, but we will talk and then we'll make an arrangement for that. Uncle B, I know, I didn't expect you to be here.
I've always been here, but and of course I was trying to get the grasp and the grasp of what is actually happening. But yeah, I got that, but I was just it was interesting, and I think Umseleku is a very interesting, can I say character or person rather, and thank you so much for the love that you have for your wife and as well as your family. But I think just last week, Nje, when Mseleku and maybe just to highlight, Guti, I think you raised something about women, right? And their sensitivity, especially when it comes to their children. And I think you also backed it up to be able to say maybe you're overcompensating, as you spoke. And I realized, Gucci, and I was just saying to my wife the other day, there is no child that would live under this particular roof, but umntwanam, it doesn't matter whether it's biological or not. Umntwanam la, magala umntwanam. And I will raise that particular child the way I know it's actually fit for the father to be able to do so. But I'll also be able to love that particular child. And I just wanted to say to Mzele Guti, when I met my wife, my daughter as well was 24 years old. I think it was 22, so between 22 and 24. And to a point when I'm saying there was a particular period where I was accused to something like that. And I was just saying to him, dress properly. That's what I was saying. But now it was even about the and to a point, the child would not actually greet me even on a passage, and that used to be able to grieve a mother. And I said, and for me, the contention was that this is a child. Blindly umntwana, and I'm not going to treat her like an adult. Umntwana again, and umntwana mfazwam, and because I love my wife, I'll have to contend to be able to see this particular child coming to the level where she actually sees herself as a child in this particular house, right? I don't care what she actually thinks, and to a point now when I'm saying she's my cheerleader today, right? She's my cheerleader, and I'm saying this to you because I know what we have in Chambe. There are things that actually disturbs you with that particular child and whatsoever and all those things. But I'm saying, there's nothing that comes just with ease, if I should put it that way. I don't know how to put it better, but there's nothing that comes with ease, especially when a child, remember what umntwana might actually be very angry towards the mother. Now you're coming back, you're coming into their lives, and as you come to their lives, you become the enemy. But I can tell you this much, Mselegu. And in terms of my observation and what I've actually looked into, I've realized that it doesn't matter how that particular child actually treats you. Do the right thing towards that particular child. And I can tell you now, there are children today who are able to take care of their step parents better than their own children. right? And I'm just saying, Uti, you relationship yakho nalo mfana, and most probably maybe it's a sore thing to actually talk about at this particular point in time. But I just want to say to you, Uti, I think you need to be able to reach out even more onto this child. He might not like you, Mselik, but I can tell you this much: there are things that we implant, if I should use that word. We put seed unto places where we think Guti do not be able to grow. But this particular child, I'm telling you, Guti, you find Guti, even whether usese corner, whether with their friends, whether wherever he would be able to say, but there's something about that man that he was able to do for me. Yes, I know that he has taken me to school, but he's just a father to me. And I'm just saying, Selewuti, I think I just love your character. And to be honest, where I'm sitting, despite the altars that you actually go through, I think you have a pure heart, right?
Yeah.
And pure intentions as well. And I'm like, oh my God, what are you doing with this particular man, right? And for me, where I'm sitting, I mean, look at almost every man that begins to have imali. They want his tembu, they want his side chick, they want this, they want that. But it's you like, no, I can't do this thing because this would mess up my life, and which is true. And let me say this: people out there, despite the fact that in your case we're speaking about an extra woman, let's focus on that. These particular people, they are no longer playing fair, bruh. You'd actually get into a house and ubona ngathi umfazi wakho yinyipubezi and whatsoever, because they would have dealt with you. And I'm just saying, keep it up, bruh. But we'll also, now that we are praying for our families, we'll also be able to pray for you as well, and including your family. But also to be able for you to be able to realize, Bana, there is something that God has actually laid in all of us, right? There's something that, let me specifically speak about you. There's something that God has actually laid in you, and I don't want to say to you what you're actually doing is actually wrong, but I'm saying, and I love how Blended Family, how Zama actually said it, Uti. Somewhere in a long run, we get to the point where we begin to actually realize some of the questions that these particular people are asking. Because I can tell you now, for somebody else, they would actually be sensitive. Hey, sitting around Christians, it's a bad thing because now they come for you and whatsoever. But I think I think the approach here, Yam as a Christian is all about, yes, we can be how successful and whatsoever, but the problem is, where is our soul at this particular point in time? And where I'm sitting, I'm actually thinking, Wuti, Mseleku, I'm actually crying for your soul more than any other thing. And I know that you can literally become very rich, and which is a good thing, by the way. I mean, the Bible even says that you must leave a legacy for your own children and whatsoever. But I'm also where I'm at, my dearest brother. I'm saying I'm crying for your soul, the soul of your children, the soul of as well as of your family as well. And let me just end up by saying, Seleku, I think you're doing a great job in terms of being a father. But can you pull that boy unto you, because there's something that he needs to be able to learn in a process as well. And I know, I don't know how Zuluish are you deep in terms of Zuluish. That is why people are able to say no yakshata batatum dana kumise kumama, and space it at this particular point in time doesn't allow that. It allows us to be able to become, because a lot of us have actually had traumas. I mean, you know better. You and every one of us actually know better. I mean, you just listen to what KK has actually gone through, and you realize, my God, what a painful situation that people are actually experiencing. And I can imagine we can either make our children to become better people, or we can make our children to be worse than we are at this particular point in time. And it is because of the things that we are starting to be able to receive, and we are able to say, no, lalela. When I'm either going to give you too much than what I used to get, to a point that ubaivila at the end of the day. But I also love how you actually do things, to be able to say, no, my children, this is where you like, this is how things are actually going to be done. And I'm very proud of you, my brother. But where I'm sitting, and I think a lot of us who are here, they're actually crying for your soul more than any other thing. Thank you so much, Blended Family.
Thank you, Uncle B. And I hear what you're saying, but I think, you know, the one thing when it comes to the soul situation, because he's got such a pure heart and pure soul. And I think with Umselek, what I realized with this is that he needed that connection with his father, because he was literally ripped out of that family just like that. So he needed that grounding more than anything, because without knowing who you are and where you come from, because you were just uprooted, dad died and then you were just uprooted, and that grounding is what he needed. But I think with time the growth will come, because his heart is pure. That's why I was like, there's an understanding that might not be there. And I think also when you're seeking help, I always say, and I've even said it to a cousin of mine as well who sought help before, and I said, sometimes you just need to sit with yourself and pray about it. And pray about it so hard that you sit after that prayer, you open the Bible wherever, and you just read whichever chapter that pops up there, and you get your answer. And once you get that answer, you sit with that answer, and you don't talk, you don't like, there's this thing called meditation, where you just sit silently and you listen to what God has to say to you. That's where you get the answers. I think with him, it was a matter of being uprooted from home, things not going right, and now trying to find answers. And sometimes it's not easy, and it's not easy to find answers. Depending on which church you go to, it's not easy to find answers through church. So you try other forms, and people tell you, this has worked for me, this has worked for me, and you try those things. And I always say there's always some truth to what is said, but the real truth and the real way lies with you, because you've already got the answer sitting with you. And because of his purity, and I'm not say purity because we're not all pure, especially at this age, but because of the way he is, I think things will light up, and even his family will be absolutely okay. That's what I see. But you have to sometimes, some people's journey requires you to go and explore, to go and look, to go and identify, to go, and seek that foundation and that grounding. And once you have that grounding, you will find the way in other ways, let me put it that way, and whichever way that works for him. But I thank you, Uncle B, and when you speak about reconnecting with our stepchildren, no matter how difficult we are, you're not just talking to Msele. I know some people won't say it on the chat here, but I know that there are others who are struggling with that connection with their stepchildren and bonus children. Sometimes for some, the children are a bonus. For some, the children still feel like, what do I do? How do I work through this? And I think that constant encouragement, especially sometimes for me when I'm going through tough times, I'm like, that constant encouragement of do not give up, do not stop working on it, do not try to what do you call this? Do not give up on it. Continue to try, because what are you gonna lose when a child is rude? What are you gonna lose? But also in that, always work backwards to also finding yourself, because you can lose yourself in it. So being grounded in who you are first, in order for you to be able to deal with other people, filling your cup first before you are able to go deal with other people. Because yes, children do manipulate situations, they do cause frustration, they do cause headaches in the family, and sometimes even, you can even become physically, mentally, emotionally ill because it's so difficult. But once you've found your resolution and healing, try and go back again and try again.
And Sister sorry, I forgot to mention something when I'm talking about respect. As Sister, don't think ukuthi when you have money, you have power. Or I remember one day, and then this thing is one of the other dreams basis like in you must stop drinking. Sizama ngengaboshwa nginemali. And I thought ukuthi I can bribe the police and what. They said no, we are delela wena. And then that's when that dream comes. They told me yekela uchwala. And those things we tend to take them for granted. And when I ngilandelela indaba yochwala ukuthi when uNkulunkulu makafika kuwe ufika anytime, it doesn't need ukuthi makafike ebusuku or afike nini, but then uyeza those dreams. Yes, I can refer to uNkulunkulu who conquers everything. And then they found us drinking, and then they cannot respond, they cannot talk to us basixwayise because of that moment usukuphuzile utakiwe. You understand? Now I just wanted to add lapho ukuthi even though nobungaba nemali kangakanani, but try ukuthi ungabuse utshwala. Ngiyabonga sis.
Ngiyabonga nami. And we heard the same thing from Imran earlier. He also said he stopped drinking. In order to just find his center, he had to stop drinking. And not that there's anything wrong with drinking, but it's how we drink. It's how we engage with alcohol. Like they say, everything can be good for you, but too much of anything will also hurt you. Even the things that are healthy, even drinking too much water is not good for you. So we always need to find that balance in Bilwin. We need to do what is good for us. And then in closing, guys, you see, I said past, now it's 22. Uncle B, thank you for closing off the session for us. I think you wrapped it up quite nicely. What I take, and I'm not going to go through everybody's because I'm giving myself up until 1:45 to close. What I take from what you said is that we need to love our families no matter what. We don't need to be what does lukewarm in our lives, guys, and go with the wind where the wind takes us. One profound thing that you mentioned is like, and most times, especially, let me not say especially, most times men who do get a lot of money, they are advised by, if they go to a healer, especially, the healer will always say, you need his temp. And I don't know why that is always the case. I don't know why that is always the next step. Now that you have money, you need his temp. I will never understand it. But Uncle B raised a valid point, which you're not going with the wind when it comes to your decision making and taking care of your family and prioritizing your family and your wife. And to this point, even with your struggles with your child, with your bonus child, you're still saying, I will take care of him. I will take him through to school. I will make sure that he's okay. Wherever he is, even though the relationship is strained, but he knows there's someone there who is taking care of me and who is making sure that I'm okay. And that can never go unwarranted. Thank you, Liza, for sharing the number. Guys, if you want to join the Bible study, today's Bible reading, there's the number. It's 081-3221-262. Liza just put it on the chat. So you can go on the chat, you can dial that number, WhatsApp that number, or SMS that number. You'll be added onto the group, and then you'll be able to access the link. Or she'll, just to make things easier, she'll probably just send you the link, and then maybe at a later stage we'll add you on the group. But thank you all for joining. Thank you all for the gifts. Thank you all for joining the platform, on the chat, on the panel. I thank you for the gifts. I thank you for the for the engagement. I thank the new followers for following. I thank those who gifted me. I think I've got 24. I don't even know what these hearts means. But I've got 24 now, top members and stuff. So I thank you, Uncle B, as usual, my co-host. I know someone that probably didn't understand why I accepted Uncle B and not them. It's because Uncle B is basically my co-host, and at times him and Rahadi Lerato, I always bring them up to the live just to add their bits and their insights on what has been spoken about, because they just create a nice balance between males and females in terms of the views and the advice that we get. I thank you, Ntlanhla, for the gifts. I thank you, dear Fufu, for the gifts. Kwena, thank you, Sister Boza, thank you, Tseho, Casey, everyone else that joined the live. Rahadi Mimi, Rahadi KK, Imran, our IT gentleman, I forgot his name now, Reynald. I thank you, Mselegu. I mean, really, I am truly grateful for the insights that you gave us today. I truly appreciate you. I appreciate what you bring to our platform. I appreciate what do you call your authenticity, because abantu abaningi, when they come onto eLife, they just want to speak izinto ezibukeka kahle, things that sound good, but people don't want to share their raw feelings. You know, there was a time where, you know, we could tell that you're speaking with passion because to you this is important, because to you this means a lot. And I know Uguti, at some point you felt like we're saying, no, you're too tough on your wife, but it's not because you're too tough. It's because you want to see her succeed now, because your legacy lies with her. So we get you, we understand you. The topic for today was what you call this? What legacy are you leaving behind? You know, in your family. Are your children equipped to take your family to the next level or continue from where you left off? Have you created the right foundations and strategies to ensure that your children are able to survive? Are you able to pass on your skills and knowledge to your kids so that even if they decide to follow your footsteps, that they are actually a step ahead? Because my mom is actually an engineer, my dad is an engineer, I'm studying engineering. So they must be a step ahead of everyone else because you've given them that skill and knowledge. It should come easy to them. Why should our children suffer when we are here with the skills, with the knowledge, with the know-how? And then we also go back to the legacy and the knowledge, the indigenous knowledge, and also the knowledge that comes with our lineage, things that have impacted our families, the knowledge that, you know, understanding Uguti, like, you know, KK shared something about her grandfather and how her grandfather came into the world, I think. And then it goes on to what her father did at a later stage. And you're like, is this not history repeating itself? You know? And that legacy will continue. And if you don't know, at least there's a portion of the legacy that you know, there's a portion. And that's the negative legacy that comes sometimes with your family. And then you think, how do I ensure that this doesn't happen in the next step? Do I have sons? Does my father have sons? You know, how do we move from here? How do we grow? Because the most important thing is that we grow and we thrive as Black families. They broke us through our families. We need to mend our families to be strong so that we find our strength again and we thrive again. Lastly, on the 1st of November, the first weekend of November, we are hosting Embracing Harmony retreat. It's in KZN. So if you are keen, go to my Instagram. I think you'll find the link there. I've also shared my email address if you want to join us. It is quite pricey. I know, but it is a weekend away, and accommodation and food will be fully covered. It will just be transport that you would have to pay for on the side, but it is an investment towards yourself, towards your healing. You know, here I'm a naturalist, I'm an environmentalist. Sometimes, if I can say, by heart, by profession in a way. And so I always believe that there's a whole lot of power in connecting with nature and being in a place where you are disconnected from worldly things and you find connection to yourself is required at times. That quiet time to think things through and be able to find your healing, to be able to reconnect with self, is the purpose of this event. The target is women. So we haven't included men. That's why I'm announcing it now. It is women. It is for women, and space is limited because we want it to be a session where it's intimate. and we're able to really truly connect with ourselves. The information is on my profile. The information is on my Instagram. So please, if you are interested, do join. And I think Uncle B, if anyone wants further information on other lives that we're having and other connections that we're having, I think they can come and join us today in our Bible reading. Liza has shared the information. Also on the 7th of September is the singles event. Ne? 7th or 6th. My handle everywhere, it's Blended Family South Africa, everywhere. Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and YouTube. Uncle B, are you still there? It's the 7th. Thank you, McD. 7th of September. If you are single and still wondering, why am I still here? And you just want to connect with self so that you can improve self. And also maybe you might meet somebody. We're not sure. Uncle B is hosting something on the 7th. I thought he would come up and tell. He's here, but I think he's muted. But perhaps just join. Ask him, connect with him. He will give you more details around that, but it will be an enlightening moment because it's not just about meeting someone new. It's not fluffy. It won't be a fluffy subject. We are going deeper into self, finding out what is happening with self. Why am I here? Why am I here? Why am I not connecting with somebody? What is it that I'm missing? Or why do I keep on attracting people who end up getting me here? And this here is not the right place. This here is not where you want to be. Why do I end up in the same place every time? Let's curb these things. Let's move forward, guys. Let's find ourselves so that we can be great partners to the people we meet, and also so that we can be able to attract the right people that we deserve in our lives. Have a good day. If you're willing to join us, please join us. I think probably Lisa's going to start at 11 or 11:30. But you can just go on dial that number, save that number. 20, save that number. Go onto WhatsApp, contact that number. You'll get the link to the Zoom. Join the Zoom. When it starts, then you'll be there. But I think we should be starting at 11. I know I've held us up a bit. I'm sure Uncle B is probably working on 2 devices right now. That's why he's not speaking. Have a good day, everyone, and have an awesome weekend.
I'm here. Thank you so much, Zama, my co-host. I think we'll meet tomorrow again, right, at 1 o'clock. And I'm not so sure what we're going to discuss, but yeah. I think what is key for me is what are the triggers in your life, right? Basically, for now. As we come tomorrow, we'll talk about that.
Okay.
And thank you so much, Emma. Thank you so much, Mr. Leku and KK, Auntie Mimi, and Rakhadi Omotona. You know? We love her so much. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Thank you. And KK, don't say Andizi, because I see that's the next text that's coming. Bye, everybody. Oh, how do I close now? These apps, guys, they get updated every time. Why is it not closing? There.